Jesus is real, but you devils taught lies on Christ. So many lies that when we come with the truth, people think that the lies is the truth and that the truth is the lie.
Who changed the truth for God into a lie? In English, Jesus Christ, in Hebrew, is Yahweh Shai. So do or die. The immaculate conception is deception, along with the myth of giving gifts on December 25th. Christmas is Satan's claw, the birth of Nimrod, and not the son of God. To you was kind of odd. On the Passover, Christ was born in the spring. So now we bring the truth about the King of Kings. That's Black Jesus and not Caesar Borgias. And the facts can't be changed. It's all about the Most High. It's all about Yahweh Shai. It's all about the Most High. It's all about Yahweh Shai.
Hebrew Israelites, Kwam Yashala.
It's all about the Most High. It's all about Yahweh Shai. It's all about the Most High.
Shalom.
Shalom.
How's everybody feeling?
Tawab.
Tawab, Tawab. Thank you for joining us. We are here again live, 8524 South Braeswood, Houston, Texas, 77071. Absolutely. If you are in the Houston metropolitan area, please feel free, drop on by. We would love to have you. We got plenty of seats available for you. Our class days are Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Monday and Wednesdays from 7 to 10 p.m. Fridays from 6 to 9 p.m. And Saturday morning Sabbath classes are held from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Please feel free, drop on by. Bring your kids too. All right. We also have locations in San Antonio. We've been over there for over 20 years. The school location out there is 4219 Centergate Street, San Antonio, Texas, 78217. We also have Priest Mashaba, and he's in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and the location for that place is 501 Copper Avenue, Northwest, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87102. Please feel free, drop on by. All right. So the announcements that we have for this week are the location in Austin is to be announced. If if you're out in Austin and you want to get a hold of some classes, contact us here, or you can contact the brothers in San Antonio as well as Albuquerque. All right. We have kids class, which is every Sunday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. You can, however, watch our pre-recorded classes on our ISBHBK Kids channel. All right. We have our ISBHBK classes live, and then you can watch previous classes as well under Israelite School of Biblical History and Practical Knowledge on YouTube. All right, our ISBHBK cable show is to be announced because the new season is coming in, so those days have changed, so those are coming in. Those are to be announced. We have a Blog Talk Radio, and you can hit us up, blogtalkradio.com/Mashaba, and his classes are Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. You definitely want to listen to that on your way to work. That's that spiritual breakfast that'll get you throughout the day. All right. As far as our garments, right? Because you might want to have a nice garment shirt with fringes on it, or a headband or armbands. You can get those things at Israelwear on Facebook. All you have to do is type in Israelwear. All right. If you have any questions pertaining to the class or off the topic, any questions throughout your life, the things that you go through, feel free, text Priest Kazakia at 281-707-2737. All right. Or you can text Priest Quatazab at 303-557-8979. Again, during class hours, it's a text only, but after class hours, feel free, blow their phone up. All right. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can email your questions and your concerns at isbhbk@isbhbk.org. All right. As far as monetary donations, we have the Wells Fargo account number that we're screening through the bottom. All right, as well as a Google wallet. If you have any question, or if you have any other donations as far as books, pens, papers, pencils, cars, computers, Bibles, apocryphers, dictionaries, encyclopedias, those are always good. Those are very helpful resources. Please feel free, ship it out to us, mail it out to us. 8524 South Braeswood, Houston, Texas, 77071. All right. And with that, we will begin
reading.
We will begin the readings.
We'll do questions after.
Hold all your questions till after the reading.
Yeah, if you got questions online, you can put your questions in the chat. We'll get to them after the reading. If you got questions in here, just write them down so you don't forget. And we will definitely, as we always do, answer those questions accordingly. So where are we at? How's everybody feeling?
Okay.
Wah, 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 wah. How's everyone feeling? Yay!
Get excited.
Right? It's the Shabbat. We should be feeling good, man. We should be feeling tawab, but be a battle sometimes. So it's all good. Where we at?
Our first read is in Numbers chapter 19 and verse 1.
You sound so proper today.
Thank you, sir.
Straighten your back a little bit.
Absolutely.
Where we at? We're in Numbers chapter 1.
No, chapter 19.
Numbers
verse
chapter
1.
19 and verse 1 to 20. The first reader is going to read to verse 21. Okay. Let's wait for everybody to get there. Wait for everybody to get it. Everybody can read along. I don't want to leave nobody out. Right, no Israelite left behind. Y'all all got it? And begin.
Numbers chapter 19 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, This is the ordinance of the law which the Lord hath commanded, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, that they bring thee a red heifer without spot, wherein is no blemish, and upon which never came yoke. 3. And ye shall give her to Eleazar, the priest, that he may bring her forth without the camp. And one shall slay her before his face. And Eleazar the priest shall take of her blood with his finger, and sprinkle her blood directly before the tabernacle of the congregation 7 times. 5. And one shall burn the heifer in his sight, her skin and her flesh and her blood, with her dung shall be burnt. 6.
So the Most High commanded Moses to get a red heifer, which is a cow, without any blemishes, without spot. So it had to be a perfect animal. Couldn't be all beat up and cut up and scarred.
Mange.
Couldn't be mange. Yeah, you couldn't have like mange of the fur, just patchy, right? And they had to take it outside the camp. So we were set up in a camp. They had to take it outside the camp, slaughter it, sprinkle the blood towards the tabernacle. Okay? And then they had to burn the skin, the flesh, the blood, and the dung together. So y'all get that so far? Go ahead.
Numbers chapter 19 and verse 6. And the priest shall take cedar wood and hyssop and scarlet, and cast it into the midst of the burning of the heifer. 7. Then the priest shall wash his clothes, and he shall bathe his flesh in water, and afterwards he shall come into the camp, and the priest shall be unclean until the even. 8. And he that burned her shall wash his clothes in water, and bathe his flesh in water, and shall be unclean until the even. 9. And the man that is clean shall gather up the ashes of the heifer, and lay them up without the camp, in a clean place. And it shall be kept for the congregation of the children of Israel for a water of separation. It is a purification for sin. 10. And he that gathereth the ashes of the heifer shall wash his clothes, and be unclean until the even. And it shall be unto the children of Israel, and unto the congregation, and unto the stranger that sojourned among them, for a statute forever. 11. He that touches the dead body of any man shall be unclean 7 days. 12. He shall purify himself with it on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day he shall be clean. But if he purify not himself the 3rd day, then the 7th day he shall not be clean. 13. Whosoever touches the dead body of
everybody understand so far? What it's saying? Go ahead.
13. Whosoever touches the dead body of any man that is dead, and purify not himself, defileth the tabernacle of the Lord. And that soul shall be cut off from Israel, because the water of separation was not sprinkled upon him. He shall be unclean. His uncleanness.
So how does a man purify himself? From what we're reading, who knows? What you think, Ronnie? I mean, it tells us in verse 9.
Separate yourself from the congregation.
Well, verse 9, and the man that is unclean shall gather up the ashes of the heifer, and lay them up without the camp in the clean place. And it shall be kept for the congregation of the children of Israel for a water separation. So the ashes were kept for the instance in when a man touched or came across a dead body, or touched a dead body. Because now when you read down to verse 13, whosoever toucheth the dead body of any man that is dead, and purifieth not himself, defileth the tabernacle of the Lord, and that soul shall be cut off from Israel. Check it out. Because the water of separation was not sprinkled upon him, those ashes. You see that? The ashes were considered the water of separation. He shall be unclean. His uncleanness is yet upon him. So the process was this. You touch a dead body, you were unclean for 7 days automatically. But on the 3rd day, you were supposed to be purified with those ashes. Verse 11, he that toucheth the dead body of any man shall be unclean 7 days. Y'all understand that? He shall purify himself with it on the 3rd day. With it what? With the water separation. Those ashes. And on the 7th day he shall be clean. Only if he did the water separation. But if he purified not himself on the 3rd day, because some Israelites be lazy, like, oh, I don't need to do that, right? I don't see why that's important. I was too busy, right? Then the 7th day he shall not be clean. You see that? So there was a process. The Most High had a process for everything. And a lot of it was to see, how obedient we would be to his process. Go ahead. Where you at?
Numbers chapter 19 and verse 14.
Uh-huh.
This is the law.
This is the what?
This is the law.
This is the what?
This is the law.
This is what I don't want to do.
This is the law.
This is the law. So people ask, like, obviously we're not going to be sacrificing heifers and doing all that stuff, right? But this was one of the various many laws that Israel broke. They got lazy, man. And see why it was important to do certain things. So go ahead.
Numbers chapter 19 and verse 14.
Uh-huh.
This is the law. when a man dieth in a tent, all that come unto the tent, and all that is in the tent shall be unclean 7 days.
Read.
15. And every open vessel which hath no covering bound upon it is unclean. 16. And whosoever toucheth one that is slain with a sword in an open field, in the open field, or a dead body, or a bone of a man, or a grave, shall be unclean 7 days. 17. For an unclean person they shall take of the ashes of the burnt heifer of purification for sin, and running water shall be put thereto in a vessel. 18. And a clean person shall take hyssop, and dip it in the water, and sprinkle it upon the tent, and upon all the vessels, and upon the person that were there, and upon him that toucheth a bone, or one slain, or one dead, or a grave. 19. And the clean person shall sprinkle upon the unclean on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day, and on the 7th day he shall purify himself, and wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and shall be clean at even. 21. But the man that shall be unclean.
That's verse 20.
Excuse me. Verse 20. But the man that shall be unclean shall not purify himself.
And shall not purify himself.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
But the man that shall be unclean and shall not purify himself, that so shall be cut off from among the congregation, because he hath defiled the sanctuary of the Lord. The water of separation hath not been sprinkled upon him. He is unclean. Verse 21. And it shall be a perpetual statute unto them, that he that sprinkleth the water of separation shall wash his clothes, and he that toucheth the water of separation shall be unclean until even.
All right, you ended?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Any questions?
God.
Abadiah, go ahead.
So why would he be unclean if I don't get 21.
Okay, let's read it.
21.
Uh-huh.
And it shall be a perpetual statute unto them. He that sprinkleth the water of separation shall wash his clothes,
Uh-huh.
and he that touches the water of separation shall be unclean until even.
Right, because no matter what, you were dealing with all these, you were dealing with the office. It's just like, because think about it. What are you're messing with the? It's the ashes, right? It's the ashes of a dead animal.
Yeah.
So that it made you unclean trying to do this purification. So you were just unclean to the even. So basically, everybody that was involved in the process was unclean to the even. So let's say he went and buried a body. He would have to dig the grave, touch the body to move it, him and someone else, right? He would be unclean automatically 7 days. What he would have to do on the 3rd day is get sprinkled with the water separation. But I'm coming in contact with him. And these ashes, I'm the one that's sprinkling.
Okay.
Makes me unclean until the even, right? So my clothes are considered unclean, because think about it. A person died in the house, it told you that all the vessels that were uncovered were unclean. The tent, everybody that were inside the tent were unclean. So basically, if you were around this body, if you go to a funeral, you were unclean. You were unclean for those days. So it was showing you how to get unclean. You had to do the 3rd day sprinkling. Then by the 7th, you were considered clean. The 7th, by the sundown. So everyone that was involved in the process was unclean. I mean, think about it. When the priests sacrificed,
Right.
they were unclean until the even. So they stayed unclean. But think about it. They were unclean doing a clean thing, or doing a purification for Israel.
So that's
it'd be another, because watch, it says, read verse 21 one more time. Read it slow.
Come. Numbers chapter 19, verse 21.
Uh-huh.
And it shall be a perpetual statute unto them.
Watch this, read.
That he that sprinkleth the
Right.
water of separation
Right?
shall wash his clothes.
Think about it, you sprinkling ashes. So now these ashes are, it's making you unclean.
Right.
Go ahead.
And he that toucheth the water of separation shall be unclean until even.
Right. So it wasn't saying that the person that was already unclean is going to be unclean to the even.
Right.
The person that was doing the sprinkling.
Okay. See, I was thinking that the person that actually touched the bodies, that person had to sprinkle themselves
No.
with the water, but someone else is actually doing that. for them.
Right.
Okay.
Watch. Read verse 20. Read verse 20.
Verse 20.
Uh-huh.
But the man that shall be unclean
Read.
and shall
Oh,
not.
no, excuse me. I thought it said something else. I'm tripping.
It's 19.
There it is, verse 19. Yeah.
Verse 19. And the clean person shall sprinkle upon the unclean on the third day.
You see that?
Time.
The clean person shall sprinkle upon the unclean on the third day, and on the seventh day. And on the seventh day he shall purify himself and wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and shall be clean at even. So the clean had to do this, but then it made them unclean just until the even, because they came in contact with this person. Yeah, like they said online, it's about germs and cleanliness. There's a lot of things you can't see. There was a reason why you had to be separated for an amount of time, because it's just like when a person had leprosy. What did they do? Separated them. They went in on like the third day, they checked them out, see if the leprosy was spreading. If so, they separated him for a longer time. But if not, then he was able to come back in. Separate to see how, if any disease or anything like that was contagious, and how rapid it was, and if it was spreading. You see that? So you would separate a person. Where here in this society, it's like, oh, just get some antibiotics and just move around and infect everyone. That's just how it is. They don't separate people really, unless you got some really, like you got some flesh-eating disease or some type of cough that is contagious where it makes your lungs bleed or something like that. But see, the Most High was always about cleanliness and keeping us, again, keeping the children of Israel clean and pure and safe. You know, it was like, we don't want the safety. That's why one of my favorite scriptures in Jeremiah, he said, I know the thoughts that I have towards you, thoughts of peace and not evil. But how does that peace come? It comes through keeping the law. That's the thing. Why don't we have peace of mind, peace of body, peace of soul, peace of spirit? Because we keep breaking the law and we go against even the smallest things that we don't deem necessary. And then what happens is you end up sick. You end up sick. That's why the scripture says, for this cause there's many weak and sickly amongst you. Because it's like we mishandle the word. We take for granted even the smallest things that were meant to protect us. It's like a child, man. It's like a child where you tell a child, don't do certain things, right? Don't play by the light sockets.
Right.
A child don't understand why not to play in the light socket. He just wants to stick something in that socket. But he doesn't understand that electricity comes through there and it can kill you, right? Until what happens, he sticks a fork in there and it pops. And he goes, ah, right? And he gets that shock and he's like, damn, now I know not to do that. Where all you have to do is just listen. But again, it says foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, right? So what did the Most High always equate us to? Children, the whole nation, the children of Israel. Why? Because we acted as such. And we were his children also, right? But our mentality was, as a nation, it was one of a big-ass child. No, we don't want to do that. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to do this. We're going to do what we want. But that's why we don't have, go there real quick. Go to it's Jeremiah 29. Jeremiah 29. This is one of my favorites. Because people, you know, it's funny, man. Because you get those people that's like, God hates me, right? You get those Israelite, God, I don't know, man. God got something against me. No, he don't. God ain't got nothing against you if you listen. If you follow what's laid down, right? Read that. Jeremiah what? 29.
Chapter 29 and verse 11.
Read that.
Jeremiah chapter 29 and verse 11. For I know the thoughts that I think toward you.
Right. See, the Most High said, I know the thoughts that I think toward you. What were the thoughts? The thoughts that we were the lot of his inheritance, that we were his firstborn, that we were the chosen. Right? Because how does he think towards the nations? He said the nations he regards them as nothing. As a drop to a bucket. Right? As a drop to a wave. He said the nations are as nothing. That's spittle, right? Little, you talking a little spit. Wow. It lands right here on his arm. Right here on his nose. Bam, right there. Most High said that's nothing. It's nothing, brother. Right? But he said he knows the thoughts that I think towards you. Go ahead.
Said the Lord.
Saith who?
Said the Lord.
Read.
Thoughts of peace.
Thoughts of what?
Thoughts of peace.
And I always ask the question, why is a lot of brothers and sisters without peace? Again, without peace of mind. Without peace in your body. Body's breaking apart. You like the old jalopy, just falling. Even me. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I got knee problems and back but through all the years of not listening and not eating right and not putting the right things in your body, not putting the right things in your spirit, not putting the right things in your mind, all of the foul music, right? Just everything. All the years of just doing things contrary to getting that peace. It breaks you down after a while. Go ahead.
And not of evil.
And not of what?
And not of evil.
Read. And see, not of evil. How does the evil come upon us? How does the evil come upon us? The Most High said when we don't listen, he sends them evil angels. Right? He sends those evil angels. Ecclesiasticus 39 and what is it? Ecclesiastes 39 and 20. Brain, be with me. Where he said there would be spirits that are created for vengeance. 39 verse 25.
25.
Right. The Most High said there's spirits that be created for vengeance. Vengeance on what? Why there has to be vengeance taken on us? Because we don't listen. That's the point. The Most High said they got to avenge us, put vengeance on you because you don't listen. Because we don't listen. We always, we presumptuously, meaning willfully, break the commandment. Some of us do it, there's things that we do ignorantly, but there's things that we blatantly do and say, nah, I ain't doing that. I'm not with that. I don't like that, so I'm not going to do it. But now you see why that evil comes. Now we're getting a picture of why, like, we've been reading all these Old Testament, right? We've been reading all this Numbers and going through the law, and every time something happens, the Most High says do something. We're like, nah, we're good, right? Nah, we say, nah, you good, right? We tell the Most High, nah, you good. I'm good. And what happens? He sends some evil on us, whether it be a plague, whether it be fiery serpents, think about it. The ultimate evils are on us. Slavery, captivity. He took it, he did things in stages. He could have wiped us out for our disobedience and rebelliousness. But what did he do? He did things in stages, and now we're in the ultimate punishments trying to get out. So the evil comes when we disobey the commandments. Even the smallest thing, like the things that we know we can keep and do, You got to do them. We got to do them. No, you know that. We got to do them. Read on.
To give you an expected end.
What was that expected end? Let's go back to Numbers and Deuteronomy and Genesis, Leviticus. What was the expected end? That we go in the land of the Canaanites, right? The land flowing with milk and honey. That nice, abundant, prosperous land. Fertile soil, right? Nice areas for our cattle to graze. Rivers for us to be able to start and keep up civilization, because you need that. Yeah. But what happened? What did we do? We disobeyed. And that's always been the problem with Israel. And that's why we never get our expected end. You never get what you expect. Because it starts with your own disobedience. From the littlest thing that you put in your spirit that, yeah, I ain't going to do. I'm not messing with that today. These little things like prayer. How many of y'all prayed this morning? Don't lie. 2 people, 3 people. I did. Y'all prayed this morning?
God.
Y'all got to pray. It's little things like that where the Most High is like, wait a minute, you didn't pray. I'm not going to give you your expected end. I'm not going to give you the things that you expect from me. Like you kids, y'all got to start praying. Y'all know that that's one way to develop your relationship with the Most High and see that He's real. You pray and things start moving around in your life. You can only equate it to the Most High. You can only say, wow, I prayed for that and it happened. But it's not just prayer, it's praying and following the commandments the best way possible. You know? So that expected end only comes when we do what it is the Most High ordains us to do. Read on.
Verse 12.
Uh-huh.
Then shall ye call upon me,
Uh-huh.
and ye shall go and pray unto me.
Then you shall what?
Go and pray unto me.
See, we're supposed to be calling up upon the Most High daily, hourly, minute by minute. Right? Go ahead.
And I will hearken unto you.
Yeah, how's the Most High supposed to hear you if you don't pray? If you don't talk to Him? I know the thoughts. I'm wicked, I'm off, I'm this, I'm that, so it don't matter. He don't hear me anyway. Oh, He hears you. He hears you. But it's little small things like, let me be obedient to know that He hears me, and let me just pray to Him. And I'm using prayer because that's something small. You don't have to, that's something real small, and it's not hard. It doesn't take an hour out your day to do. You ain't got to set nothing up. You get up out your bed, you face the east, bam. You get up out your bed, you go take a shower, in the shower, bam. While you getting dressed, bam. Like, it's easy. All you need is a quick 5 minutes just to talk to the Most High daily. Go ahead. Verse 13.
Verse 13.
Uh-huh.
And ye shall seek me.
Read.
And find me.
Right, but why is it so hard for us to find the Most High? Some of us ain't looking. Some of us genuinely aren't looking to find Him. The only way to find the Most High is through, for one, keeping of the law. That's first and foremost. That's the way to come back. Why you think Israel couldn't find the Most High the whole time we wandering through the wilderness? He was there. But why was so many things being sent upon us? Because of our lack of listening, our lack of doing. Go ahead.
When ye shall search for me with all your heart.
See, he said with all your what?
All your heart.
Yeah, it can't be this half-assed thing where it's like, I'm going to do that sometimes, but not all the time. Or when I really, really need something, I'm going to pray.
Right.
Or when I'm really, really going through something, I'm going to pray. I don't care what I'm going through. Give me the best day of my life, I'm praying. The water for the best day of my life. You know? Because then, when you really need something, It wasn't like, oh, you only called on me because you need something. No, I call on you to thank you. I call on you to ask you. I call on you to thank you again. It's more thanking than anything, but it is a lot of asking. We have to do it. Go ahead.
And I will be found of you, says the Lord.
You see that? Go ahead, read verse. Oh, read on.
And I will turn away your captivity.
I will do what?
Turn away your captivity.
Yeah, you'll no longer be captive in your mind. You'll no longer be captive in your flesh. A lot of the ailments that we deal with, a lot of the flesh, of the spirit, a lot of these things, they'll be relieved, man. You know where we at? Marwell, you paying attention? Tell them where we at. Where are you at, Shaka?
Jeremiah chapter 29 and verse 14.
Let's wait for him to get it. You got it?
Yes.
Go ahead, read. Start from the top of 14.
Come. Jeremiah chapter 29 and verse 14. And I will be found of you, said the Lord.
Go ahead.
And I will turn away your captivity.
Read.
And I will gather you from all the nations.
I will do what?
Gather you from all the nations.
Go ahead.
And from all the places whither I have driven you.
This is why we do what we do. Because this is what we want to happen. The expected end now is that we're going to come up out of captivity. The expected end before captivity was that we were just going to get our own land and prosper. That was the expected end. But now we're expected that if we do these things and if we follow and listen, that the captivity will be turned away. Read on.
Said the Lord. And I will bring you again into the place whence I caused you to be carried away captive.
You see that? So that's the purpose, man. We got to come back to even trying to do the small things. The scriptures say, be not ignorant of any matter great or small. Because even the littlest things that we don't do that are in our power to do, the Most High sees that. And he's like, well, you didn't do that, you didn't do that, you didn't do that. So guess what? I'm going to do this, 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 and this. And a lot of things that the Most High do, we say, damn, why is that happening? And it's all lessons and tests to show you where you mess up. Well, let's jump back. Where we at? Numbers, right?
Yes, sir.
Y'all understand that, right? I ain't going over anybody's head, am I? Somebody say car? Okay, I thought somebody said something. Where we at?
Numbers 19, 22.
Okay. Read one more. Yeah. Read to Numbers 20 and 20.
Numbers chapter 19 and verse 22. And whatsoever the unclean person toucheth shall be unclean. And the soul that toucheth it shall be unclean until even. Numbers chapter 19, Numbers chapter 20 and verse 1.
Oh, Allison, you had a question. I'm sorry. I went on my whole rant.
So for like people who are like in the profession of like doing morgues, medical examiners, they just stay unclean the entire time.
Technically, yeah.
Okay.
They stay unclean.
My other question is like, when you sprinkle the ashes, how does the ashes make you clean?
Well, it was just something that the Most High set up. You know, it's more. Think about it. Do ashes make you clean? Like really, ashes? What was it about?
Just following
It was about following, right? It was about following, and also, what's that?
Say when you make soap, soap is made out of ashes. Like that's.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
But actual ash though.
Yeah, you convert the ashes into
Soap?
Into soap.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Is that
Like when you make it from like scratch,
Yeah.
you take the ashes and then you like sponify it and you turn it into soap.
Damn.
So yes.
Of course we had soap.
No, but yeah.
So is that like the reason why Catholics do the ash? Is that what
Like
ash
Ash Wednesday?
Yeah, is that what that's for? With the ashes on their forehead or whatever? Is that what that
It's
is?
supposed to like, I guess, make us clean.
Oh.
Really?
I didn't know.
When
I
they do
just knew
that?
They do the ash on the forehead on
They-
Ash
but they don't-
Wednesday.
But Ash Wednesday only happens once a year, so you only clean one time a year.
But I think isn't it right before like Easter?
Good Friday, yeah.
All that stuff. So it's supposed to be like having to do with Passover and the.
Yeah. So you only clean for that one time, and then the rest of the time you just filthy. I mean, I can see where they get it from.
Yeah.
But think about it. When you do that ash mark, your forehead looks dirty as hell, right? So.
And it's too probably like a reminder too.
Yeah.
Like our fringes are for us the ash on the forehead. Like today, I guess. I don't know. I never was in the Catholicism, but I would think that's why they.
You know, I went to a Catholic high school, but I never even understood half of that. Why they did anything. They didn't explain it. They just said, show up to Mass. Because they'll make us do Mass during school. It's like you show up and then, I don't know. I don't remember too much of it, but they didn't do too much explaining. You know, we had religion class, but they didn't explain too much. So.
Well, maybe it's that same concept of
Yeah.
just following and
Yeah.
just doing and believing that while you do what you do, it's supposed to bring some positive results if you just follow. Which
Obedience is better than sacrifice.
Exactly, and the Most High is like that with us. You know, we just don't question Him. Just do what He says do, and wait for Him to do what He's gonna do after you are obedient.
Right. Anything else?
It's about the running water in 17.
Uh-huh.
I was watching a video this morning that was connecting sciences to the Bible.
Where we at again?
No,
19.
19
Okay.
and 17.
Uh-huh.
And it was explaining way back then, whenever they were doing childbirth, a lot of women were dying. And it's because a lot of the doctors weren't washing their hands. They would just do a childbirth, go to the next one, do a childbirth, and they weren't washing their hands. And so,
Wow.
like, they had like a 30% rate of like women dying because of that. And so then they realized, okay, let's wash our hands, but they weren't doing running water. They were just doing it out of the bowl. So like still bacteria was still on their hands. It was better because the death rate went down. But then later
Yeah.
on they found out, oh, let's do it with running water. So if they would have just went towards the scriptures in the first place.
If they had just kept the law,
Con.
think about it. Still water that develops what? Bacteria, mosquitoes, bugs. Yeah, it's just sitting there. That's a breeding ground for bacteria. Running water, because think about it. When you go up to like the mountains, and let's say you're at the bottom of a stream, that water, you can drink that water that goes into that lake and is flowing because that flow is purifying that water. The rocks, all the different soil and dirt, it's pulling out all those toxins and nothing can live, nothing can just sit in there and just breed itself. So a lot of that water in the mountains is already purified. Nature but the Most High set it up. He set nature up as a way to show us. But yeah, you got it right here. And running water shall be put there too in a vessel. Because like you said, that stagnant water, I'm gonna dip my hand in a bowl of water that just sits. That's the breeding ground for all types of bacteria.
Yeah, they weren't aware of microbiology pretty much. They didn't think there were things like bacteria.
Right. Most High was. He was very aware. That's why he said, go sit down over here for 7 days. Because a dead body had what? A lot of microbacteria that a lot of things going on that you couldn't see. As soon as a body dies, as soon as a person dies, what starts to happen? They start to decompose instantly. It's faster than what we think. Rigor mortis sets in and all these different things. You might know better than me, but I know that as soon as that blood stops pumping, the body starts to break down on a level that we can't see with the naked eye. You know, and there's all types of things that happen when our blood is not flowing and when there's not fresh oxygen getting into our organs, it happens like this. We start to decay just like this, instantly. Why do you think as soon as, let's say they're doing a, like organ transplants, right? Somebody dies in a car crash, and they're gonna harvest the organs. They gotta harvest that stuff and ice it instantly, right? Else, it's no longer viable. You can't take out somebody's heart, let it just chill on the table for 10, 15, 20 minutes without icing it and then think you're gonna put it in somebody else's chest. It's already breaking down. So, but that was the Most High, man. The Most High, he knew these things. I know the thoughts that I have towards you. Thoughts of good, peace and not evil. So he was always thinking about us and how to keep us away from dangers, the things that we couldn't see and even the things that we could see. We are so damn ignorant and rebellious that it was like, well, I can't see that, so it's not there. So why should I do this? Why should I do any of that? Ain't nothing gonna happen. It's just a dead body, right? Just a dead man. Let me just bury him real quick. Ain't nothing. But the Most High knew that there was things that were airborne bacterias, and it was about just keeping us clean from that. Con?
Con.
Where we at?
Numbers chapter 20 and verse 1. Then came the children of Israel, even the whole congregation, into the desert of Zin in the first month, and the people abode in Kadesh, and Miriam died there, and was buried there too. And there was no water for the congregation, and they gathered themselves together against Moses and against Aaron.
Marwala, wake up. Go ahead.
3. And the people Chod?
Where you at?
Verse 3.
And the people chode with Moses.
And the people chode with Moses, and spake, saying, Would God that we had died when our brethren died before the Lord. 4. Why have ye brought up the congregation of the Lord into this wilderness, that we and our cattle should die there?
Every other chapter, what are we doing?
Complaining.
Complaining about, it's sad because who was leading Moses? Most High. So we were complaining to Moses about Moses. But who are we really complaining about? We were complaining about the Most High. Chode, verse 3. We were complaining about the Most High and what he was trying to do for us. Chode, it means to strive or contend. Physically, to make a complaint, to quarrel, contend against. Wow. Contend, debate, to plead, to rebuke. Yeah, so, but it says physically, so they were physically, I mean, we read it in the Josephus that they were always trying to stone Moses, right? They were trying to kill him, get him out of the picture. So yeah, there was always this case against Moses, like, why did you do this to us? Moses didn't do a damn thing, but tell you who you were and got you out of captivity. But and truthfully, he was just the mouthpiece of the Most High. He was just that carnal man that we needed to look towards. Go ahead, read on.
God. Numbers chapter 20 and verse 5. And wherefore have ye made us to come up out of Egypt, to bring us into this evil place? It is no place of seed, or of figs, or of vines, or of pomegranates, neither is there any water to drink. And Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And they fell upon their faces, and the glory of the Lord appeared unto them.
So how was there no water to drink when the Most High told them to use running water for the purification? There had to be water to drink. See, it just wasn't to the level that they wanted. That it wasn't to the level of, oh, I can just go and just be a waster. and it's not sitting right there in front of me, so it's not there. Of course, it was water to drink, because they would have been dead, right? Of course, it was water. See, again, just more ignorance and more excuses from the people, because they didn't like the position that they were being put in. Where now I have to sacrifice a little bit, so now I'm gonna make up excuses. Oh, see, there ain't no water. There ain't no water to drink. Okay, but you just drank some water. No one's dropping dead of thirst. So obviously there's something to drink, right? Even when they had the manna, it's like, oh, all we got is manna to eat. But bro, you eating. Before you were complaining about not eating, but now you got manna. So it's like you can't please nobody. Go ahead.
Numbers chapter 20 and verse 7.
Uh-huh.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, 8. Take the rod, and gather thou the assembly together, thou and Aaron thy brother, and speak unto the rock before their eyes.
He told Moses to do what?
Speak ye unto the rock before their eyes.
See, he gave Moses a commandment. This is very important, because this is where we're going to understand where Moses messed up. He told him to speak to the rock. Go ahead.
And it shall give forth his water, and thou shalt bring forth to them water out of the rock. So thou shalt give the congregation and their beasts drink. 9. And Moses took the rod from before the Lord, as he commanded him. 10. And Moses and Aaron gathered the congregation together before the rock. And he said unto them, Now hear, ye rebels, must we fetch you water out of this rock? 11. And Moses lifted up his hand, and with his rod he smote the rock twice, and the water came out abundantly.
Wait, he did what?
Smote the rock twice.
What was Moses supposed to do?
Speak.
He was supposed to speak to the rock. Right? He was supposed to speak to the rock. But Moses hit it. So it was almost like, and what I shouldn't say almost, he basically took away the glory of the Most High by taking it upon himself to get the water from the rock. Go ahead.
And the water came out abundantly, and the congregation drank, and their beasts also. 12. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, because ye believed not.
Because what?
Because ye believed not.
Yeah. So what was it showing on Moses's? This instance right here, what was it showing about Moses?
I would say.
What's that, Abadiah?
I would say his faith wavered in the Most High. His obedience also wavered in the Most High, and he lost patience. He was losing his patience with Israel because he got frustrated. I mean, that's what it sounds like. He got frustrated. And the Most High went ahead and allowed the water to come out of the rock because Israel needed the water and they lacked faith. But Moses already knew that the Most High was controlling everything, and through his disobedience by not just speaking to the rock, I guess that's what really angered the Most High the most, because he knew, even if Israel didn't know or believe.
Moses knew, right?
Moses knew and had believed up to that point that the Most High was controlling everything and making everything happen.
And listen, was Moses like some just disobedient guy? Was he just like, yeah, I'm gonna just do things on my own, it's all about me? There was a time when what? The Most High told Moses, listen, move out the way, I'm gonna raise up children in your name. And Moses had to say, nah, you promised that you would deliver the children, right? So What was it also showing on the part of Moses when he did this? What was it showing in this moment?
Could it be trust also?
Well, it was just showing that Moses had a slip in judgment. He had a
Glitch.
yeah. He made a mistake. But there's punishment for mistake also, right? There's punishments behind that.
It's especially like because up to that point, he'd really been following and just doing and like really not taking things upon himself.
Right?
So yeah, I could see where that was just a slip in judgment or a mistake on his part. But that was a small thing because he'd been doing some really big things that the Most High was telling him to do.
Right.
And he didn't question or slip in judgment at all. But I guess that goes back to those small things that we have to.
The small things that you have to do and listen to.
Yeah.
It's the small. Moses didn't see the significance in speaking to the rock, and it might have been frustration on his part. Why? You got all these people coming at you every 5 minutes. Man, we need this. We need this. We need this. But even through all that, the Most High was giving the method. Even through all the chaos from everywhere else, it was showing that you don't have to be chaotic. Everyone else around you can be chaotic and you can still be calm, cool, and collected. But once you let your spirit be changed, see, Moses allowed his spirit to be changed a little bit by what was going on, by the situation. Instead of being faithful, instead of being obedient, what's that?
And it goes back to the scripture that you, in Jeremiah 29, about the peace, and how the Most High gives us that peace
through his commands.
Through his commands.
Yeah.
So there was like you said, there was like a little glitch, a lack in that peace, because he wasn't following the command.
What? Watch, read verse 12 again. And then get that scripture. Go to Deuteronomy 32.
Numbers chapter 20, verse 12. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, because ye believed me not, to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel.
So talking to the rock was going to do what?
Sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel.
Yeah, you're going to sanctify me, not yourself. You're not going to look like you did this. It's another sign for these wicked, rebellious little children to know that I'm real. I'm here. I've always been here. I'm the one that's going to give you the water, not Moses. Go ahead.
Therefore, ye shall not bring this congregation into the land which I have given them.
Yeah, because when one suffer, we all suffer. He said, listen, Moses messed it up for everybody. He messed it up for this congregation. I mean, if you know, who made it into the land?
Caleb.
And who else?
And Aaron.
No.
Caleb and
who's the book after Deuteronomy?
Joshua.
And Joshua. Yeah. That's it. That's it. They were the only ones out of that whole congregation. So we got to think about that. One sinner destroyed much good.
I was wondering, why did the Most High still give him the water if he didn't do what he was told to give him? Is it because he got a greater repercussion because he didn't go into the land?
Well, they needed the water. He wasn't gonna let them just die of thirst. He needed the water. But it was just, it's like this. Perfect example. I can go work honestly for my money and get money, right? Or I can go be a stripper and get money. Or a drug dealer and get money. I'm still getting money. But now, how is my means of obtaining it? You see that? Like, there's means to obtain anything. There's different ways to get what you need, but this was an example of faith, of trust in the Most High. This was an example of, again, be obedient to what I'm saying, and I'm going to give you what you need. I'm going to give you an expected end. I know what I want you to have, right? But how are you going to get it? You're going to get it through yourself? You're going to take it upon you. We always talk about that. Brothers and sisters, they take things upon themselves and try to impact their situation by themselves. My method, the way I'm going to do it. The Most High's method, it was shown us that the Most High's method is the only way that works. It's the only way that works. But what do we do? What do we always do as flesh and blood? What do?
We want to control the situation and do it ourselves.
We want to control everything. The first step to prosperity is understanding that you don't control a damn thing. Even when you think you control it, you don't control it. Because the Most High could have, you're right. He could have been like, nope, no water. He could have just did that. Like, y'all ain't gonna get no water. But that would have just knocked them all out instantly. He wanted to think about it. Think about when they brought the evil report on the city, right? That they were supposed to go in and take. He punished them for 40 years. Most High is gangster. It's a gangster punishment. Like, you just gonna wander around cityless for every day that they went. Because why was it 40 days? Because they were gone for 40 days. So he said for every day that they was out spying out that city and they brought a bad report, they brought this faithless, because what was it about? It was about faith. Most High was trying to teach us lessons about faith. For every day that they were there, they brought back a faithless, half-assed report. Guess what? Y'all gonna wander in the wilderness for a year. A year for every day. 40 years in the wilderness. So the most... Damn. I'm laughing because I wouldn't have thought to do that. But that's why the Most High said my thoughts are not your thoughts. I would have did something else. I would have probably cut somebody's hands off or something weird. Extreme, right? I would have probably did something over the top. But see, even in the punishments, there were supposed to be lessons that we didn't pick up on the lesson. We didn't pick up on the importance of why we needed to have faith in the Most High. So even this was showing about faith, and that even Moses, that the Most High set up and show favor to and mercy, even Moses could catch one. Right? The Most High is not a respecter of persons. What were you going to say, Abdai?
And again, like in verse 12, it was like the Most High, once again, was trying to show Israel through, I'm just reading this, that because Aaron and Moses believed not in the Most High, through them not following his order, once again, they weren't able to sanctify. The Most High wasn't sanctified in the eyes of Israel because of him not following exactly to the T what he told them to do.
Right, because who was now sanctified?
Moses.
You need to bring your own pen, bro. Who was now sanctified? Moses, right?
Yeah.
Moses was now the man.
No.
He took all that glory. He took all that credit. But see, now watch. Why do you think now Christ comes? Let's fast forward to Christ. Right? Let's fast forward to Christ. And what was Christ's message all the time? What was Yahweh Shai's message?
He was here to do the will of his Father, the one that sent him and not his own.
Right. Go to, it's all through the Gospels. Right? Go to wow. Go to John 6:38. Oh no, go to John 5 and 30. John chapter 5 and verse 30. This is why Yahweh Shai was so important and so revolutionary and so needed as an example. Because was not Moses a great man? Moses was a great man. They said he was the meekest man of the time. The Most High said the meek shall inherit the earth. But think about it. Moses couldn't even inherit the land of the promised land. He couldn't even inherit that, even in his meekness, because of this one thing that he did. Read that, John 5 and 30.
St. John chapter 5 and verse 30.
Go ahead.
I can of my own self do nothing.
And this was the lesson that the Most High was trying to show. That, first of all, y'all complaining about water, go find some. You don't even know how to find water. Guess what? I'm going to tell you where it's at. I'm going to tell you how to get it. So if I'm telling you where the water is and telling you how to get it, how the hell are you going to change the plan? You crying of thirst. How you don't know where the water is? You dying of thirst. You crying because there's no water, right? I'm going to show you where it is. I'm going to show you exactly how to get it. And you take it upon yourself to do it a different way. Where's even the logic in that? Where's the logic in that? It's like brothers, they don't know how to run their household, right? They don't know how to counsel their rib. They don't know how to counsel themselves. And it's like, okay, we're going to sit you down. We're going to show you through the scriptures how to deal. And then you go home and just switch the game plan up. Like, yeah, I didn't want to do that. I just didn't feel like talking. Or yeah, I showed her 30,000 other scriptures that didn't pertain to the problem because whatever you showed me, I just didn't want to deal with. But then you wonder why things aren't fixed. You wonder why your point doesn't come across the way it needs to. Because your delivery is off. Because your timing is off. Because your wording, your verbiage is not the correct verbiage. You say the wrong thing at the wrong time. Well, we're like, no, say it like this. This is how you got to say it. This is what you, sometimes we give brothers verbatim what to say. Listen, write this down, Otto. This is what you're going to say. It's like a cue card. This is foolproof right here. Right? You go home and, that sounds good, but I'm going to word it the way I want to word it because it's not poetic enough, or it's not hood enough, or it's not masculine enough.
But it's foolproof.
But what we gave you was foolproof. How do we know? Because it worked. But that's the thought. The thought is I can do everything on my own. That'd be the thought sometimes. That'd be the process. Like, and then it's like, well, what about the Most High? What scripture? Like, you ask sisters, you ask brothers, they going through their battle. What scripture you thinking about right now? Huh? Scripture? It's like, I'm trying to just handle this business. Yeah, but what Bible verse are you using to propel the positive thoughts to come to your head? What inspiration of the Most High are you trying to use to reprove yourself, to correct yourself, to uplift yourself? What are you using from the Most High? Oh, it's all your thoughts? Oh, now I get it. Now I see why you keep going through the same cycle of problems and nothing is ever really fixed. Because it's about your thoughts. But read it again.
St. John chapter 5 and verse 30. I can of my own self do nothing.
Listen, Christ had the power to call down angels. Let's be real. Christ could have changed any situation right in front of him. If he wanted to wipe out every Roman, if he wanted to wipe out every Israelite, he had the power to do what he wanted. But he said, what? Read.
I can of my own self do nothing.
Even in all his powers, he understood that that power came from the Most High. Everything he spoke came from the Most High. Every thought was centered around the Father. Go ahead.
As I hear, I judge.
Read.
And my judgment is just.
Why? Because was it his own just? Was it the fact that Christ was just a just man? Was it the fact that he was just a just man? Or was it the fact that he was just through the wisdom of the Most High, which is what made him just? Isaiah 11, right? It said he should have the spirit on him, the spirit of understanding. This, not judging with the sight of his eyes or the hearing of his ears, but true judgment. Through what? Through wisdom, through the knowledge and understanding of the Most High. But again, where's our judgment? I'm judging off the next man. I'm judging off what I see. I don't like what I see, so I'm not going to do that. I don't like what I heard just now. Well, he said that. Now I'm a judge. But where does the true judgment come from? It comes from getting the full spectrum of what's going on at the moment. We judge off of, it's funny, man, because you got ears, a nose, and eyes for a reason. You got all these 5 senses for a reason, and when you put them all together and use them as one, the judgment becomes perfect. It's just like the Spirit, the fruits of the Spirit. When you put all these things together and judge through the Spirit, the judgment is perfect. But see, a lot of us will judge with one part of the Spirit and not the other. You'll judge with 3/4 of the Spirit and not the whole pie. You'll judge with half or 1/3, and it won't be a true judgment. You'll do things in the Spirit, but not truly of the Spirit, if that makes sense. Y'all get what I'm saying? What am I saying? Tazariah. What am I saying? Ak. No, you understand what I'm saying though? Where you'll judge things spiritually, but not using the whole Spirit. You'll say, you know what? I know I got to long suffer. I know I got to do that. But then you won't have no patience in long suffering. Because while you're long suffering, you're complaining about long suffering. Like, damn, I know I've been going through what I'm going through, but why? Why? Instead of sitting back and saying, you know what? I got to be patient. Let patience have its perfect work so I can be complete and whole, wanting nothing. But while you're long suffering, you got lack of patience. So guess what happens? I long suffered enough, damn it. Let me do my thing. Right? And that's what happens. We go through things in the Spirit and we use the Spirit, but not the complete Spirit. But that's why Christ came back. Read it one more time from the top.
St. John chapter 5, verse 30.
And this is where Moses messed up, where he listened to the Most High. He went to the rock, right? He obeyed, but not to the fullest. He didn't execute. Think about all that Moses was commanded to do. All the things he was supposed to build. All the tabernacles. The Ark of the Covenant. Right? Just even the way the camp was set up. Take these amount of men. This amount of men for this. This amount of men for the priesthood. This amount of men for soldiers from each tribe. Get these 12 men to do this. Get these 1,000 men to do this. Think about that. Think about all the orders and instructions that Moses got and executed to the T. Flawless. And he got to this right here. He got to this little thing right here. Fetch these dudes some water and do it like this. And he messed that up. Where was his mind at? I know where his mind was at. It's like, these old disrespectful, disgruntled. Let me just get y'all some water, man, so y'all can get up out my ear. You disloyal, disgruntled S.O.Bs. Disrespectful.
Speak on it.
Hard-headed, rebellious, stiff-necked, little sottish children. Stupid little children. But think about it. You think Christ ain't feel the same way? When he was banging on the Pharisees and how long shall I suffer you? How long am I going to be with you? How long am I going to show you the same things over and over? But did he once take the credit on himself and get to the point of frustration or just lax in judgment where he took now the credit of the Most High? He never let himself get there. Where you at?
Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and verse 15.
Go ahead.
Be not ignorant.
Be not what?
Be not ignorant.
Go ahead.
Of anything.
In
a great matter or a small.
See, Moses was faithful in all the good, all the big things. Listen, he brought a whole nation out of captivity through obedience, through faith. Think about how that wasn't a small feat. That didn't happen. That didn't happen in a week.
I was just thinking the same thing.
It took time. It took time. What y'all think that he went? Day 1, frogs. Day 2, flies. Day 3, darkness. No, it was days in between these things when he was going back and forth. It was days when they traveled to the Red Sea. You gotta remember they're walking. They ain't taking the express bus. They ain't hopping all on chariots and just. We didn't have it like that. You got elderly and sick and babies, children. So all these things that was happening with Moses throughout this whole time, when you read from Exodus, all the way through. Think about it. Even the time when you read about Moses at birth, to when Moses was of age, Moses was 40 years old when he slew that Egyptian man. He was 40 years old. So think about all the things that happened between the age of 0 to 40, when he was found and drawn out of that river to the age of 40. All the things that happened that we don't really know about, but you read it, you're like, oh damn, Moses was 15. Moses was 7 years old when he slew that Egyptian. The way it's read, right? The way we read it, it's like boom, boom, boom. Everything just happened so fast. This was years, man.
Listen, it took him 40 years to come back to Israel just to go starting to deal with Pharaoh and rescue Israel. He was away from, after he slew and then he left out of Egypt, it took him 40 years to come back into Egypt for his people. So he was 80 years old.
Moses was old, man.
He was 80 years old when he started that.
So is that reigned during his military time, like when he went
with Pharaoh?
Yeah, well, Moses.
Yeah, when he was in Egypt.
Yeah,
because he was part.
Military.
Yeah, that's when he was learning all that stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was just being a grandson of the Pharaoh, living it up for 40 years, and then what? He went.
He was
where he ran up with Jethro. Became a herder, right? And then think about it. He lived a whole nother 40 years. He lived a whole nother life. Got a wife, kids, right? Now it's like, nope, now you're onto something else. But the point is, these things weren't like simultaneously day after day. They were stretched out. The Bible compresses it for us, because if we were reading it as it happened, the Bible would be, come on. You read the Bible for years before you got to the point. Right? But the point is, read it one more time.
Be not ignorant of anything.
Tell them where you at.
Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, page 73.
Because that's where it's at. Read.
Be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or small.
Now where you at? John 5 and verse 30.
I can of my own self do nothing.
And this was the thing, where Christ wasn't ignorant of the littlest things that he was doing, like turning water into wine, like healing people. It wasn't Christ. That was the power of the Most High flowing through Christ. Go ahead.
As I hear, I judge.
Judge through what? Through the Spirit. Because if it was his own judgment, he'd probably be out there whipping people, everybody, and stoning everybody. But it was through the true judgment. Go ahead.
And my judgment is just.
It's what?
It is just.
Read.
Because I seek not my own will.
Because it was never about Christ and his will. You think it's a man's will to die? Especially for a bunch of other people you don't even damn know? Hell nah, bruh. Hell nah. I'm gonna go get strung up for you? I don't know you. It'd be easy for Christ, like, bruh, I don't know y'all. Go ahead, because and this is how we know, because he said if you could take this cup from me, when he prayed to the Most High, if you could take this cup from me, let it be thy will. It was the Most High's will for it not to be taken away. You had to drink that cup.
And back to that scripture in Isaiah 11 and 2, that wasn't Yahushua's thinking. That was like, he was thinking on the Most High. I mean, he got, like, you gotta imagine, like, he was feeling the pain greatly.
Wait, when you say Isaiah 11 and 2.
Where it talks about the Spirit.
Oh, the Spirit shall be, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. You're right. His think, well, this is the thing. Yahweh's thinking was always in the spirit from birth. But I see what you're saying, that a regular man without the spirit, what's his thinking?
His own. Like,
Brute, beast, animal,
yeah.
sleep, drink, anything, right? Yeah. That's why, Isaiah 11:2, and the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him. The Spirit of the Lord, the Most High, shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Most High. Yeah. It wasn't his own spirit that was going to lay on him. It was the Spirit of the Most High. It had to be. Else he wouldn't have been able to go through what he went through. He would have came down and been like, nigga, I did that. I turned water into wine. Ha ha. Right? I healed y'all. I did this. I did that. It's all about me. You don't need God. But then that's how you know that there's a lot of brothers out there that ain't got the Spirit. Because they talking about they're the only way to the truth. No, the Most High is the way to the truth. Christ is the way to the truth. That they're the truth and they're this and they're that. But that's how you know the Spirit of the Lord don't rest on them. You see that? Finish up where you at. Still in my class.
But the will of the Father.
But the what? But whose will?
But the will of the Father.
Go ahead. And there's many wills of the Most High. The Most High has many wills. Back in Numbers that we're reading, the will of the Most High at that time was to go talk to the rock and get you something to drink. The will wasn't for you to hit the rock. Go ahead.
Which has sent me.
Which had what?
Sent me.
Because Moses was sent to do something. Read.
If I bear witness of myself,
Uh-huh.
my witness is not true.
Go ahead.
There is another that beareth witness of me.
Uh-huh.
And I know that the witness...
That's it on that. That's it on that. So y'all get that, right?
Fine.
Let's jump back to Numbers. Let's jump back to Numbers.
Numbers chapter 20 and verse 13.
Read verse 12 again.
Verse 12 again. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, because ye believed me not, to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel. Therefore ye shall not bring this congregation into the land which I have given them. 13. This is the water of Meribah.
Go ahead.
Because the children of Israel strove with the Lord, and he was
it's like you're trying to fight with the Most High on how to do things. Go ahead.
And he was sanctified in them. 14. And Moses sent messengers from Kadesh unto the king of Edom. Thus said thy brother Israel, thou knowest all the travail that hath befallen us. 15. How our fathers went down into Egypt, and we have dwelt in Egypt a long time. And the Egyptians vexed us, and our fathers. 16. And when we cried unto the Lord, he heard our voice, and sent an angel, and hath brought us forth out of Egypt. And, behold, we are in Kadesh, a city in the uttermost of thy border. 17. Let us pass, I pray thee, through thy country. We will not pass through the fields or through the vineyards. Neither will we drink of the water of the wells. We will go by the king's highway. We will not turn to the right hand nor to the left until we have passed through thy borders.
I'm going to read verse 20.
18. And Edom said unto him, thou shalt not pass by me, lest I come against thee with the sword. 19. And the children of Israel said unto him, we will go by the highway, and if I and the cattle and my cattle drink of thy water, then I will pay for it. I will only, without doing anything else, go through on my feet. 20. And he said, Thou shalt not go through. And Edom came against him with much people and with a strong hand.
That's it. Any questions so far?
Edom the one that passed.
Let's see here. I was thinking the same thing. It's always wisdom in the law. Well, the law is the wisdom. The law is the wisdom. It says, "This shall be the wisdom in the sight of the nations." Watch. Go to Deuteronomy. Right. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 6. Start at verse 5 and 6.
Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 5.
Read that.
Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments,
Go ahead.
even as the Lord my God commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it.
Right, so the Most High, through Moses, taught us the statutes and judgments, the commandments. Go ahead.
Keep therefore and do them,
Go ahead.
for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations.
Yeah, so the law was our wisdom. The law was our wisdom in the sight of the nations, because it kept us away from all the filth that the nations were doing. Go ahead.
Which shall hear all these statutes,
Uh-huh.
and say,
Statutes. Go ahead.
surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
Right. So yeah, the wisdom, the law was our wisdom. But yes, there is wisdom in the law. Yeah, perfect. Some of us look for him in men. We can only find him in this word. Yeah, that's absolutely right. A lot of us do look. The comment, I'm just reading some of these comments. Some of us look for him, speaking of the Most High, in men. We can only find him in his word and the Messiah. That's absolutely right. But remember that the Most High works through men. So let's not be naive that every man can just hop into the scriptures and then you'll just get the understanding. No. You got to be taught. We all got to be taught. I had to be taught. Kazaki had to be taught. Brothers got to be taught. You got to be taught how to read the scriptures, what to link up, how to break it down, things like that. So yes, he works through men, because the Most High is not just going to fall down on the cloud. Christ ain't just coming down and talking to individuals. It don't work like that. The scriptures say, through thy precepts I get understanding. So you get the understanding through the word, but what if you don't know how to decipher the word? No one in here knew how to decipher the word before they were shown how. I don't care what you say, who you are. You might have known Christ was black, but guess what? That was a feeling. You didn't know where in the Bible to get that. You didn't know how to break that down.
Right.
You might have thought, and even if you read it, you were like, oh, well, he was black, but he shot flames from his eyes. Because you didn't know how to link the precept to show that, no, it wasn't flames. His eyes should be red with wine, teeth white with milk. Like, there's precepts that you didn't understand. You had to be shown. So, yes, he works through men. Think about all the prophets, all the apostles. Those were examples of men using the Spirit. So, just want to point out that. Let's see what else we got. I'm just reading some of the, again, your questions we're going to get after. I'm going to read a few of these comments. I see them. Again, another beautiful point. All things we do, go to Colossians 3:23. All things we do should be done to the glory of the Most High, and not for our own justification. Absolutely right. we should use the scriptures to vindicate ourselves, but instead, we shouldn't use the scriptures to vindicate ourselves, but instead to glorify the Father.
Colossians chapter 3 and verse 23.
That's what I want, right? Yeah, read that.
Colossians chapter 3 and verse 23. And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily as to the Lord, and not
Do it what?
Do it heartily.
See, no matter what we do, we have to remember that, and no matter who's in front of you, because men are going to deliver ordinances to you and deliver orders, tell you what to do. When let's deal with sisters. When your husband tells you something to do, and it's in the spirit, who is it coming down from? It's coming down from the Most High, Christ, and then your husband through the Spirit. But who's directly in front of you? Your husband. But who should you be doing things towards? Towards the Most High. And you'll in turn be doing it towards your husband. But if you put that mind in that this is coming from the Most High, no matter how it comes, whether it be correction, whether it be edification, whether it be you being uplifted, no matter how you look, what the message is, through the Spirit, if you look at, damn, this is coming from the Most High, then you'll always know how to receive the message. Listen, some people don't even know how to take credit the right way. It says, let another man praise you. Some brothers and sisters don't even know how to take praise because they're looking at it coming from a man instead of the Most High. So you get that praise, and then what happens? When that man don't praise you, you're like, he never sees what I do. He never sees my good works. I'm not appreciated, right? But it says the Most High is not unjust to forget your labor and love. The Most High, right? So that's just one aspect to look at it. Absolutely right. Everything we do should be towards the Most High. Every thought that we do. Watch. Start at, watch, go to Ephesians 6 and 5.
Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 5. Servants. I'm sorry.
Wait for everybody to get it.
Done?
Gone.
Go ahead.
Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 5. Servants, be obedient to them that are your masters.
And this ain't talking about like how they try to use this in slavery, right? Like, oh yeah, you're the servant. No, it wasn't talking about that, like slavery. Like, oh, I'm your master. It's talking about teacher, student, husband, wife. These type of instances. Be obedient to. Go watch. Read on.
Your masters according to the flesh.
Because a wife has a master according to her flesh. It's her husband. A man has a master according to the flesh. It's his teacher above him. It ain't the fact that it's I'm a slave and he's a slave owner. No, but it's a teacher, master, teacher, rabbi, all the same thing. Go ahead.
With fear and trembling.
With what?
Fear and trembling.
Yeah, it's talking about having that respect. Watch, read.
In singleness of your hearts.
Read.
As unto Christ.
As unto who?
Christ.
Wait. So you're supposed to, it's telling us right here. Obey a man according to the flesh as if it was Christ. Because I'm not looking at this flesh. I'm looking at the message that's coming out of this person's mouth and through the Spirit. If it's in the Spirit, if it's, hey, listen, go to this scripture, go to this scripture, go to this scripture, then it's coming from the Spirit. It's coming from the Most High. So I'm supposed to obey that with fear. As if it was Christ talking to me. You see that? Go ahead.
Not with eye service.
Yeah, not with, I gotta get my Bible. Damn, again. Right? You rolling your eyes. You doing all that. Go ahead.
Not with eye service as man pleasers.
Right?
But as the servants of Yahushua HaMashiach.
Because that's what it was always about. It was about being a servant to the Most High in Christ and knowing who these spiritual orders and ordinances come from. Think about Paul. He said, obey me in all things. He said, remember me in all things, right? He said, be followers of me as I am of Yahushua. Corinthians 11 and verse 1. right?
God.
We were supposed to follow Paul as the way he followed Christ. Because why? In turn, we would be following the Most High in Christ. Look, he's basically saying, don't look at me. I'm just a man. But look at what the spirit I'm rolling in. Follow the spirit. You see that?
God.
Let's jump back. Let's jump back. Where we at? Oh, next reader? Which would be the brother on my left. Where we at? Any questions so far on the topic? If you got questions on the topic, for those online, you can go ahead and send them. All the off-topic questions will be answered after we do the reading. Let's see here. If there's anything else? They said he lived to like 100. Yeah, Moses lived to about 120.
And it said his eyes did not dim.
Strong, mighty man. Go ahead. Where you at?
Numbers chapter 20 and verse 21. Numbers chapter 20 and verse 21. Give me a count when you got it. God? Thus Edom refused to giving Israel passage through his border. Wherefore Israel turned away from him. And the children of Israel, even the whole congregation, journeyed from Kadesh and came unto the Mount Hor. And the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron in Mount Hor by the coast of the land of Edom, saying, Aaron shall be gathered unto his people, for he shall not enter into the land which I have given unto thee, unto the children of Israel, because ye rebelled against my word at the water of Meribah. Verse 25. Take Aaron and Eleazar his son, and bring them up unto Mount Hor, and strip Aaron of his garment, and put them upon Eleazar his son. And Aaron shall be gathered unto his people, and shall die there. Verse 27. Any questions so far? All right. Verse 27. And Moses did as the Lord commanded, and they went up into Mount Hor in the sight of all the congregation. And Moses stripped Aaron of his garment, and put them upon Eleazar his son. And Aaron died there in the top of the mount. And Moses and Eleazar came down from the mount. And when all the congregation saw that Aaron was dead, they mourned for Aaron 30 days, even all the house of Israel. Numbers chapter 21 and verse 1. And when King Arab, the Canaanite, which dwelt in the south, heard tell that Israel came by the way of the spies, then he fought against Israel and took some of them prisoners. Verse 2. And Israel vowed a vow unto the Lord and said, if thou wilt indeed deliver his people.
Are there any questions on that chapter? Where we at?
Numbers chapter 21 and verse 2. I can start at verse 1 again.
Yeah.
Okay, verse 1. And when King Arad, the Canaanite, which dwelt in the south, heard tell that Israel came by the way of the spies, then he fought against Israel and took some of the prisoners. And Israel vowed a vow unto the Lord and said, if thou wilt indeed deliver this people into my hand, then I will utterly destroy their cities. And the Lord hearkened to the voice of Israel, and delivered up the Canaanites, and they utterly destroyed them and their cities. And he called the name of the place Haramah. Verse 4. And they journeyed from Mount Hor by the way of the Red Sea, to compass the land of Edom, And the soul of the place was much discouraged because of the way. And the people spake.
It says, and the soul of the people.
Oh, Salah. And the soul of the people was much discouraged because of the way. And the people spake against the Most High.
Here we go.
And against Moses.
Here we go. They couldn't talk against Aaron because he died. I'm sure if he was alive, they'd have talked against him too. Go ahead.
It's the Most High and Moses.
But no, I'm saying they didn't speak against Aaron.
Yeah.
Because Aaron was gone.
Right. So they need
So
to put
they need somebody. Yeah, they need to put somebody else in Aaron's place. Go ahead.
And Moses. Wherefore have ye brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no bread, neither is there any water.
Ooh. Go ahead.
And our soul loatheth this light bread. Verse 6.
What I don't understand is like, how come there was like never no water or no bread, but y'all always have water and bread? Like, I don't get it.
Nobody started.
Well, see, the problem was you had to wander around the wilderness, so every time you went somewhere, you had to start over. They were wandering; they weren't just sitting in one place. That was the punishment, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would walk around the wilderness for 40 years. So every time they went somewhere, it's like, damn, we got to find another water source, we got to find another food source. But they always got it. Go ahead.
And the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people.
Here it is. I always mention it, but here's the fiery serpents. Go ahead.
And they bit the people.
Uh-huh.
And much people of Israel died.
Uh-huh.
Therefore the people came to Moses and said, we have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord and against thee.
Yeah, now we realize that we sin because we get bit up. Go ahead.
Pray unto the Lord that he take away the serpents from us. And Moses prayed for the people. And the Lord said unto Moses, make thee a fiery serpent, and set it upon a pole. And it shall come to pass that every one that is bitten, when he looketh upon it, shall live. They got that symbol of the blue cross with the snake upon it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blue claws.
The
Yeah, the medical with the
Yeah.
snake that's wrapped around it.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, on the ambulances. Yeah.
So when you look upon it, you're supposed to be healed. I get that. Okay.
Or it's a symbol of healing.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's crazy that they will like take heed to the correction through
Through feeling it.
yeah, and then they trust in the Most High because then they're like Moses, pray to the Most High and ask him to like take away the serpents, but they won't pray to the Most High and listen and follow and not complain.
Well, this is why. We're about to get it. This is why. Go to 1 Corinthians 1 and verse 22.
First Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 22.
And listen. Read that.
1 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 22. For the Jews require a
They
sign.
require a what?
A sign.
Yeah, I gotta get bit on my ass to realize, oh, let me stop talking. Right? The sign, I gotta get bit up by snakes. Let me stop murmuring. Let me stop talking bad. Let me follow. Go ahead.
And Greeks seek after wisdom.
The Greeks seek the wisdom. I don't need to get whooped on. They need to get whooped on to see the wisdom in things, or to see why or why not to do something. They were like, well, it's not wise to speak against the Most High, so let's not. But Jews require a sign. Jump back. What's that? What you got? Matthew chapter 16 and verse 4. What you got? Okay, read it.
Matthew chapter 16 and verse 4. Give me a comment when you got it.
Go on.
John 3 and verse 14.
Con?
Go on.
Con. Matthew chapter 16 and verse 4. A wicked and adulterous generation.
Wait, a what?
A wicked and adulterous generation.
They were what in the wilderness?
Wicked and adulterous.
Go ahead.
Generation.
Read.
Seeketh after a sign.
Yeah, a wicked and adulterous generation seek a sign. They need a sign. God, show me a sign. I've been showing you signs. I parted the Red Sea. I gave you manna. I killed Aaron's sons for burning strange incense. Aaron died for his little transgressions. Like all these things that go on and happen, that was a sign for the people. That was supposed to be your sign. And in turn, it was supposed to change into wisdom. I seen the sign. Now I got the wisdom on what to do and what not to do. I'm not going to do the bad. I'm going to do the good. Our people, they're like, nope, I need more signs. I need more signs, Yahweh. That's not good enough. I know you're burning me up in the fire, but that's not good enough. I know you're making me die in the wilderness and walk around this mud for 40 years, but that's not good enough. Oh, fiery serpents. I see the sign. Then guess what? That's not going to be good enough. Oh, watch. Because what was the ultimate sign? Go to John 3:14. St. John chapter 3 and verse 14.
St. John chapter 3 and verse 14.
See, everything that was happening in the wilderness was symbolism. It was all a symbolism of, and I mean, these things were happening. Trust me, they were fiery serpents that was burning these people up. But they were also symbolic of Yahweh Shai. Read that, St. John 3 and verse 14.
St. John chapter 3 and verse 14.
Go ahead.
And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness.
Because we're going to read that the Most High told him to make him a fiery serpent, right? And lift it up. And whoever looked on it would be healed. So as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, he made a sign. Go ahead.
Even so must the Son of Man be lifted up.
The same way Christ was lifted and made a sign for the people. Right? Come on, man. What was Yahweh Shai lifted up on?
Cross.
He was lifted up on the same thing, that cross. Right? See, it was all a symbolism. The things that happened in the wilderness, they repeated themselves. It was all prophecy of Yahweh Shai. But it was sad because even through these symbols, people were losing their lives. These fiery serpents didn't just bite 1-2 people and let me go get the snake venom, let me get the anti-venom. Nah, they were dead. So as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness to do what? When people looked upon the sign, they were healed. Was the same way that Christ was lifted up. So when we looked upon that, it should have been a symbolism of our changing. Then it goes into John 3:16, right? But think about it. I ain't gonna go there. It's for another day. I ain't gonna go there. Yeah, I know, right? But think about it. Okay, so the serpent was lifted. The fiery serpent was lifted up to who? Who was all there?
People in Israel.
All the Israelites, right? They were the only ones there. John 3:16 or 15, it says, "Whosoever believeth on him shall not perish." Watch, it says, so even so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have eternal life. The whosoever was Israel. For God so loved the world, then it goes into the whole John 3:16, but we know that it was always dealing with Israel. So that's just another way to bring that out, showing that whosoever was always dealing with Israel. Whosoever of Israel saw Christ lifted up, they should see that change in them. They should have that eternal life. Let's jump back.
Numbers chapter 21, verse 10.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a comment. You got it? God. And the children of Israel set forward and pitched in Oboth. Mm-hmm. And they journeyed from Oboth and pitched at Ijareo. Ijebarim. There we go. Ijebarim in the wilderness. which is before Moab, toward the sunrise, toward the sun rising. From thence they removed and pitched in the valley of Zered. From thence they removed and pitched on the other side of Aaron, which is in the wilderness that cometh out of the coast of the Amorites. And Aaron is thy border of Moab, between Moab and the Amorites. Wherefore it is said in the book of the wars of the Lord, that he did in the Red Sea and in the brooks of Aaron, and at the stream of the brooks that goeth down to the dwelling of and lieth upon the border of Moab. And from thence they went to Beer, that is the well whereof the Lord spake unto Moses, gather the people together, and I will give them water. Then Israel sang this song, Spring up, O well, sing ye unto it. The princes dig the well, the nobles of the people digged it, by the direction of the lawgiver with their staffs. And from the wilderness they went to Mathanah, and from Mathanah to Naphtali, and from Naphtali to Barmoth, and from Barmoth in the valley that is in the country of Moab to the top of Pisgah, which looketh toward Jeshurun. And Israel sent messengers unto Sihon, the king of the Amorites, saying, Let me pass through thy land. We will not turn into the fields or into the vineyards. We will not drink of the water of the well, but we will go along by the king's highway until we be past thy borders. And Sihon would not suffer Israel to pass through his border. But Sihon gathered all his people together and went out against Israel into the wilderness. And he came to Jahaz and fought against Israel.
Where you at?
Verse, that was the end of 23. All right? Okay. And verse 24. And Israel smote him with the edge of the sword, and possessed his land, from Aaron to Jabbok, even into the children of Ammon, for the border of the children of Ammon was strong. And Israel took all the cities, and Israel dwelt in all the cities of the Amorites, in Heshbon, and in all the villages thereof. From hence,
y'all see what's going on. All we wanted to do was pass through the land. That's all we wanted to do. We wanted to pass. Verse 21. And Israel sent messengers unto Sihon, king of the Amorites, saying, Let me pass through thy land. We will not turn into the fields or into the vineyards. Take this. We will not turn into the fields or into the vineyards. We will not drink of the waters of the well. But we will go along by the king's highway until we be past thy borders. So all we want to do was pass. And what did they do? He wouldn't let us pass.
Okay.
But he gathered people that went and tried to fight us. So we destroyed them, right, and took their land. So where you at? So everybody understands that, right? Huh? Go ahead.
Numbers chapter 21 and verse 25.
He said it's called. Okay.
And Israel took all these cities, and Israel dwelt in all the cities of the Amorites, and in Heshbon, and in all the villages thereof. And Heshbon was the city of Sihon, the king of the Amorites. who had fought against the former king of Moab, and taken all his land out of his hand, even unto Ernan. Wherefore they that spake in the proverb, saying, Come into Heshbon, let the cities of Shahan be built and preserved, prepared. And there is a fire gone out of Heshbon, a flame from the city of Shahan. It hath consumed of Moab, and the lords of the high places of Ernan. Woe to thee, Moab! Thou art undone. O people of Shemash, he hath given his sons that escaped, and his daughters into captivity unto Hisham, king of the Amorites. We have shot at them. Heshbon is perished, even unto Dibon, and we have laid them waste, even unto Nopah, which reacheth unto Mediaba. Thus Israel dwelt in the land of the Amorites, and Moses sent to spy out Jaazar, and they took the village thereof, and drove out the Amorites that were there. And they turned and went up by the way of Bashan, and Og, the king of Bashan, went out against them, he and all his people, to the battle at
Edrei. That's it, right? So now I read 21-34. Numbers 21. So you read those two, right? Yeah. You read two. You read these two. 21 and 33. So, any questions so far? So we're at Numbers 21 and verse 34. So Numbers 21 and verse 34. And the Lord said unto Moses, Fear him not, for I have delivered him into thy hand, and all his people, and his land. And thou shalt do to him as thou didst to Sihon, king of the Amorites, which dwelt at Heshbon. So they smote him and his sons and all his people, until there was none left him alive. And they possessed his land. See, what I don't get is why they didn't just go in there the first time when we were supposed to go in there and waste them, and just waste them. Why you gotta come to all of this drama? Now you're doing what the Most High wants you to do. But why you gotta end up dying? Cats gotta get killed, burned up with fire, snakes, drought, famine. Like ground gotta open up on you. Yeah, you gotta get swallowed up. You and your tent. It's the same thing today. It's like, why you gotta get all that drama in your life before, and then come back and be like, you know what? I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do it the right way. Just do it the right way in the beginning. Stop letting all the drama. Stop letting all these bad things happen to you through disobedience and rebelliousness. That's the problem with our people. They're so rebellious and hard-headed. I mean, they're so far gone that they don't even understand that they're getting hit. They be getting hit left and right. They don't even understand it. They don't understand that they're cursed. They just think like, drugs and crack, that's just the way of life. That's just the cards I've been dealt. But us in here, we got to see that our spiritual sense and our spiritual eyes should have us to where when we are catching hell, we should be able to recognize why. Is it for a test or is it for your disobedience? Where we at? For Numbers 22 and 1, and then we jump to Judges? Okay. Numbers chapter 22 and verse 1. And the children of Israel set forward. See, we were always moving around. When they said they set forward, we were moving. Set forward. And pitched in the plains of Moab on this side Jordan by Jericho. Now we go to, so that's it for Numbers. Now we go to Judges chapter 11 and verse 1. Judges 11 and verse 1. Judges 11 and verse 1 through verse 18. Judges chapter 11 and verse 1. Now, Jephthah the Gileadite was a mighty man of valor, and he was the son of an harlot. And Gilead begat Jephthah, and Gilead's wife bare him sons. And his wife's sons grew up, and they thrust out Jephthah and said unto him, Thou shalt not inherit in our father's house, for thou art the son of a strange woman. And Jephthah fled from his brethren and dwelt in the land of Tob. And there were gathered vain men to Jephthah, and went out with him. And it came to pass in the process of time that the children of Ammon made war against Israel. And it was so that when the children of Ammon made war against Israel, the elders of Gilead went to fetch Jephthah out of the land of Tob. And they said unto Jephthah, Come and be our captain, that we may fight with the children of Ammon. And Jephthah said unto the elders of Gilead, Did ye not hate me and expel me out of my father's house? And why are you come unto me now when ye are in distress? And the elders of Gilead said unto Jephthah, therefore we turn again to thee now, that thou mayest go with us and fight against the children of Ammon, and be our head over all the inhabitants of Gilead. And Jephthah said unto the elders of Gilead, If ye bring me home again to fight against the children of Ammon, and the Lord deliver them before me, shall I be your head? And the elders of Gilead said unto Jephthah, The Lord be witness between us, if we do not so according to thy words. Then Jephthah went with the elders of Gilead, and the people made him head and captain over them. And Jephthah uttered all his words before the Lord in Mizpah. And Jephthah sent messengers unto the king of the children of Ammon, saying, What hast thou to do with me, that thou art come against me to fight in my land? So we're understanding what's going on, right? Jephthah was the son of a harlot. He had brothers. The people were like, you can't get no inheritance, so they kicked him out of the land. They kicked him out of the land. He went, hung out with a bunch of other people. It's time for war. These same elders come back like, hey, we need your help. You're about to get whooped on. We need you to be the general and the captain. So now he's sending messengers to the king of Ammon saying, what is going on? Why do you want to fight? Right? Verse 13. And the king of the children of Ammon answered unto the messengers of Jephthah, because Israel took away my land, when they came up out of Egypt, from Arnon even unto Jabbok and unto Jordan. Now therefore restore those lands again peaceably. So he's going off of what we did back, what we just read. We went in. All we wanted to do was pass through. Right? So all we wanted was to pass through. Send people out to fight. We fought back. We defended ourselves. Took the land. Spoils of war. And Jephthah sent messengers again unto the king of the children of Ammon, and said unto him, Thus saith Jephthah, Israel took not away the land of Moab, nor the land of the children of Ammon. But when Israel came up from Egypt and walked through the wilderness unto the Red Sea, and came to Kadesh, then Israel sent messengers unto the king of Edom, saying, Let me, I pray thee, pass through thy land. But the king of Edom would not hearken thereto. And in like manner they sent unto the king of Moab, but he would not consent. And Israel abode in Kadesh. Then they went along through the wilderness and compassed the land of Edom and the land of Moab, and came by the east side of the land of Moab, and pitched on the other side of Arnon, but came not within the border of Moab, for Arnon was the border of Moab. So we never ever infringed on the land. We settled around it. They said, no, you can't pass through. We're like, all right, you're going to chill around. We're going to settle around. We're not going to pass through. Now this is the point. And Israel sent messengers unto Shahan, king of the Amorites, the king of Heshbon. And Israel said unto him, Let us pass, we pray thee, through thy land unto my place. But Sihon trusted not Israel to pass through his coast. But Sihon gathered all his people together and pitched in Jahaz and fought against Israel. So basically, Jephthah was going through and showing how we attained the land of Moab. We didn't just take it for no reason. There was a reason why we had to. There was a reason why we took it. We asked to pass through. They were saying no, so we just dwelt among. We dwelt around their land. We pitched tent around their borders, but we never crossed their borders. Then Sihon, the Amorites, we sent the same messengers. Hey, can we pass through? Nope. And then what did he do? Instead of just saying no and leaving it at that, now he gathers the people to fight against us. Verse 21. Verse 21. And the Lord God of Israel, here it is. See, this was the Most High. The Lord God of Israel delivered Sihon and his people into the hand of Israel, and they smote them. So Israel possessed all the land of the Amorites and of the Amorites, the inhabitants of that country. And they passed all the coast of the Amorites from Arnon even unto Jabbok. And they possessed all the coast of the Amorites from Arnon even unto Jabbok, and from the wilderness even unto Jordan. So now the Lord God of Israel hath dispossessed the Amorites from before his people. And shouldest thou possess it? Wilt not thou possess that which Chemosh thy God giveth thee to possess? So whomsoever the Lord our God shall drive out from before us, them will we possess. So you see that? So he was basically saying, listen, don't your God give you what he give you? Our God gave us the land. So our God gave us the power to drive you out. That's why we possess the land. So he was showing that, I like it, because he's showing that we were following the Most High. It wasn't like we were just going on some beastly whim, like, wow, we want that land, let's go take it. I want that land right there. We were just being greedy and hoarding land.
Yeah, we were trying to be peaceful. We asked permission to pass through.
Yeah.
They rose up against us, and then now we own that.
Yeah.
Do you think that through their moving around and stuff into the different lands, whether the Most High wanted them to take the land like he did, like the land of milk and the promised land, or
Right.
whatever, that these other nations, before they even came, did they know of Israel and the power of the Most High, the power of the God that we serve? Do you think they knew?
Yeah, because when you go into Joshua, when you're reading Joshua, it tells you that these kings knew the renown of Israel. They knew about all the things that the Most High did. They knew about the Red Sea. They knew about it. They knew. Some of them didn't even fight. They were like, yeah, we know the power. Look, y'all got it. But see, this was one of the things of war. Before we went to war, you sent messengers and you declared peace, right? Before you went to war. And if they said nah, then you went to war. So it wasn't always a war thing. A lot of times we showed up like, listen, y'all want to fight or not? Basically, we don't take this. And they were like, nah, here, we ain't gonna fight. There's no point. But the prideful, they were like, yeah, we gonna fight, right? The ones that thought it was honorable to die in war, they fought and they lost. But they knew the power. They heard of these things that the Most High was doing for us. That's why even Moses, when the Most High told Moses, I'm gonna raise up stones, or I'm gonna raise up children of your seed, he was like, then the other nations are gonna hear that you didn't keep your promise. You see that? So the word would have got around. Word would have got around, and word did get around about what the Most High was doing for us. Where we at? Where did I leave off? Verse 25. Taking this to verse 33. And now, art thou anything better than Balak the son of Zippor, king of Moab? Did he ever strive against Israel? Or did he ever fight against them? While Israel dwelt in Heshbon and her towns, and in Eror and her towns, and in the cities that belong to the coast of Arnon, 300 years. Why therefore did ye not recover them within that time?
There's a question.
There's a question? Who got a question?
Text. It says,
Someone texting?
So there's a question. The question was, what credentials did Jephthah have that made him a candidate to lead?
When you read verse 1, it says, now, Judges 11 and verse 1, now Jephthah the Gileadite, was a mighty man of valor. So he was a mighty man. He was known for his war tactics, his revolutionary war tactics, right? Even though the fact that he was cast out because of the fact that he was a harlot's son, but that didn't take away from the fact that he knew how to get down when it came to fight.
Yeah, he was renowned in battle.
Yeah. So let's see here. Yeah, he was a mighty man. He was a mighty man of war.
It said boldness and determination in facing danger, especially in battle, heroic courage and bravery.
Yeah.
So his reputation of how he dealt in the middle of that battle spoke on who he was.
Yeah. So they basically wanted a mighty man to lead them.
Yeah.
So yeah, Judges 11 and 1 answers that. Let's see here. We'll hold that. Where we at? Verse 20. So I'm gonna read verse 25 again. I think I read it wrong. And now art thou anything better than Balak the son of Zippor, king of Moab? Did he ever strive against Israel, or did he ever fight against them? While Israel dwelt in Heshbon and her towns, and in Eror and her towns, and in all the cities that belong to the coast of Arnon, 300 years. So how long we were there for 300 years? You see that? Well, no, we weren't there for 300 years, excuse me. Couldn't be. Why, therefore, did you not recover them within that time? Wherefore I have not sinned against thee, but thou doest me wrong to war against me. The judge, be judged this day between the children of Israel and the children of Ammon. Howbeit, the king of the children of Ammon hearkened not unto the words of Jephthah, which he sent him. Then the Spirit of the Lord came upon Jephthah, and he passed over Gilead and Manasseh, and passed over Mizpah and Gilead, and from Mizpah of Gilead he passed over unto the children of Ammon. And Jephthah vowed a vow unto the Lord, and said, If thou shalt without fail deliver the children of Ammon into my hands, then it shall be that whatsoever cometh forth of the doors of my house to meet me, when I return in peace from the children of Ammon, shall surely be the Lord's, and I will offer it up for burnt offering. So Jephthah passed over unto the children of Ammon to fight against them, and the Lord delivered them into his hands. And he smote them from a roarer, even till thou come to Miniath, even 20 cities. You got to be mighty. And unto the plain of the vineyards with a very great slaughter. Thus the children of Ammon were subdued before the children of Israel. Any questions on that part?
Nah.
So now we're at Hebrews chapter 9. Hebrews chapter 9 and verse 11 through verse 16. Hebrews 9. Let's see here. So this is Hebrews chapter 9. And 11 through verse 16.
Hebrews chapter.
No, I'm reading this. And then, where is that? Okay. Let's see. Hebrews 9. But Yahushua, being come and high priest of good things to come, by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is to say, not of this building, neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood, he entered in once into the holy place, having obtained eternal redemption for us. For if the blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of a heifer sprinkling the unclean, sanctifieth to the purifying of the flesh. Going back to what we read about the red heifer, sprinkling the man that touched the dead body. So it said, for if the blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of an heifer sprinkling the unclean, sanctified to the purifying of flesh, how much more shall the blood of Yahushua, through the eternal Spirit, offered himself without spot to the Most High, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living God? So it's asking you, it's a question. Listen, man, if the ashes of a dead cow filled with boo, flesh, and hair purified your flesh, how much more would the blood of Yahushua, how much more was the blood of Yahushua through the Spirit purge your conscience? How much more was this word supposed to clean you? You see that? Because think about it. How can sprinkling of ashes really clean you? It didn't. How did that really purify your flesh? It didn't. But it's showing that Christ's sacrifice was now supposed to be a purification of your conscience. Wherewithal should a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed unto thy word. St. John 17:17, you are now clean through the word that I speak unto you. So Christ's sacrifice, him being without spot, him being perfect, right? Him walking through wisdom. You were supposed to sit back and say, damn, Most High took him out. He didn't even do nothing. He did nothing wrong. He was pure. He was clean. That was supposed to spark something in your conscience to say, let me get right. Verse 15. For this cause he is the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death, for the redemption of transgressions that were under the first testament, they which are called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance. For where a testament is, there must also of necessity be death of the testator. So basically, what was, in the Old Testament, what was it about? It was about you broke the law, you died, right? You broke the law and you died. That was basically the curse of the law. That was what was taken away. That's what it's telling us, that Christ is the mediator of the New Testament. So now, you don't got to die when you mess up. You got grace. Right? Now you have redemption for whatever transgressions. The redemption for transgressions in Moses' time, think about it. They murmured and what happened? As soon as you murmured, fiery serpents. As soon as you murmured, famine. As soon as you said something, the earth opened up. But now, I mean, we shouldn't be murmuring. But now, let's say you murmur or you commit a transgression, you're not going to die on the spot. Because Christ was that mediator. You got that grace, you got that forgiveness. For a testament is, verse 17, for a testament, what am I reading to? So you can start. So we're at the last, you're going to read to verse 28.
Hebrews chapter 9 and verse 17. Hebrews chapter 9 and verse 17. For a testament for a testament is of force after men are dead. Otherwise, it is of no strength at all while the testator liveth.
So you see what it's saying? Like, the force comes in now when things happen. It's like, I break the law. You don't understand the true force behind the punishment until what? You actually feel the punishment. Right? You don't, like, it's like when you deal with your kids. It's like, you do that again, I'm gonna whoop you. They don't really understand what that means until they get whooped. They know what it means, but they don't understand the force behind it until they get that beaten, right? Well, you can say, I'm gonna whoop you, I'm gonna whoop you, I'm gonna whoop you, and then what do? They do the same thing over and over and over and over and over until what? They're like, oh damn, I ain't gonna mess up. I ain't gonna mess up again. I ain't gonna do that same thing again. You see that? So, what was the force? What was the force behind the testament of the first testament? The fact that people died. That's why it says for a testament is of force after men are dead. Otherwise, it is of no strength at all while the testator liveth. Go ahead, read verse 18.
Verse 18. Whereupon neither the first testament was dedicated without blood. For when Moses had spoken every precept to all the people according to the law, he
Wait, Moses did what?
For when Moses had spoken every precept to all the people according to the law.
Yeah, Moses spoke every precept of the law. Go ahead.
He took the blood of calves and of goats with water and scarlet wool and hyssop and sprinkled both the book.
The what?
The book.
There was no Bible back then. Blah, 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 blah.
Sprinkled both the book.
Go ahead.
And all the people, saying, this is the blood of the testament which the Most High hath enjoined unto you. Moreover, he sprinkled with blood both the tabernacle and all the vessels of the ministry.
Mm-hmm. And we read all that in past Sabbaths, where they would purify and sanctify all the spoons and the golden, the silver bowls and plates, and it would sprinkle the whole sanctuary with blood. Go ahead.
And almost all things are by the law purged with blood, and without shedding of blood is no remission.
You see that? So, because that was the law. The only way that there was a remission of sins was somebody had to die. But did it take away their sin? No. It was just a sign for you to see, like, wow, let me not do what they did.
This is another way to show how, well, I guess not like how shy. This was like the Old Testament, of course, is a prelude to the New Testament.
Right. Yeah, it was all symbolic of Yahweh Shai. Yeah, one second. But yeah, it was all that leading up. Christ was that ultimate last sacrifice. Right. Where we at?
23. Hebrews chapter 9 and verse 23. It was therefore necessary that the pattern of things in the heavens should be purified with these, but the heavenly things themselves with better sacrifices than these. For Christ is not entered into the holy places made with hands, which are after the figures of the true, but into heaven itself, now to appear in the presence of the Most High for us. Nor yet that he should offer himself often, as the high priest entered into the holy place every year with blood of others. Verse 26.
Go ahead, read.
Verse 26. And then must he often have sacrificed since the foundation of the world.
No, suffered. So what it was talking about Christ. Christ died once for sins, right? So, read verse 25.
Verse 25. Nor yet that he should offer himself often, as the high priest entered into the holy place every year with blood of others.
Right. So read verse 26.
For then must he often have suffered since the foundation.
Right, because it was always sin, right?
God.
So if Christ, nor yet that he should offer himself often. Imagine if he was always offering himself. He would be suffering from the foundation of the world. Go ahead.
Since the foundation of the world. But now, once in the end of the world, hath he appeared to put away sin by the sacrifice of himself.
You see that? So his blood was that ultimate sacrifice that he did that one time. That was supposed to be us putting away our sins. Else, if that was the case, he'd have to get up there every time. Every time we sinned, he'd be sacrificed, and he'd be just suffering over and over and over and over. So that one time was supposed to be, okay, let me put away my sins. Let me look at that and change. What's that?
So it was just like in the Old Testament, like when they sinned, and then the sacrifice was given for them to don't keep sinning.
Right.
They
You weren't
kept
supposed-
sinning because that's why the priest always had to
Offer sacrifices.
Offer sacrifices over and over and over and over and over and over.
Right.
Again.
The whole point was when you got your little baby lamb, your little baby goat, and they went and they sacrificed. That was supposed to go into your conscience. That was supposed to change your mind. That was supposed to change your conscience, seeing that blood spill. You weren't supposed to say, oh, well, damn, poor little baby goat, let me go and do the same things over and over and over. And let me just sacrifice and sacrifice and sacrifice. That's right. You see that? So it was supposed to change your conscience. The spilling of Christ's blood, that was supposed to change the conscience. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 27. And as it is appointed unto men once to die, but after this the judgment. So Christ was once offered to bear the sins of many, and unto them that look for him shall he appear the second time without sin unto salvation.
What was that, 28?
John chapter 3 and verse 10.
Damn, we actually read this earlier. But go ahead. We read one verse. John chapter 3 verse 10. Go ahead.
John chapter 3 verse 10. Yahushua answered and said unto him, Art thou a master of Israel, and knowest not these things? Verily, verily, I say unto thee, we speak that we do not know, that we do know, and testify that we have seen, and ye have received not our witness. And if I had told you earthly things, and ye believe not, how shall ye believe if I tell you of heavenly things? And no man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, even the Son of Man, which is in heaven. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness.
See, what was Yahushua referring back to? What we just read, right?
God.
What we read in Numbers. Go ahead.
And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life.
Go ahead.
For the Most High so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life.
And we know that there's a whole breakdown for that, right?
Con.
Go ahead, read verse 17.
Verse 17, for the Most High sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved.
Right, the world of Israel, right?
Con.
Isaiah chapter 45 and verse 17.
Con.
Right, so Christ wasn't sent to condemn us. He was sent that we can see that we can attain and have everlasting life if we follow the wisdom.
Con.
That's what it's about. That's what Christ did. He followed the Spirit.
Con.
Go ahead.
Verse 18. He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he hath not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of the Most High. And this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light.
And we had a systems class dealing with like these scriptures, and we didn't get a chance to get down to 18. We did 18. But you see what it's saying where, and this is the condemnation, verse 19.
And this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world.
Yeah, but why would you not want to go to the light? That's the thing, because the world is full of darkness. It's full of evil. Why would you not want to go to the light? Go ahead.
And men love darkness.
Well, it's because you love that darkness. Read.
Rather than the light. Because their deeds were evil.
Go ahead.
Verse 20. For everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved.
Yeah, because that's the thing. A lot of people don't want their deeds. When Christ came, what was he doing? He was reproving things. He was checking things, right? Checking thoughts, checking actions. But that's why it had to be said. Like, he didn't come to condemn. He just came to show you, look, doing this wrong, doing that wrong. You don't got to die. Change. It wasn't to condemn you, like, oh yeah, you did that wrong, now die. No. It was the fact that we needed to be reproved in our action. Even with the Pharisees, the way they dealt in the law, their whole thing was just kill everything. Right? That was their whole thing. Well, they broke the law, just kill them. But where did Christ come in? He came with the spirit of the law, showing no. Everything doesn't need to die. Everything doesn't need to die because it says so. Let's go through the Spirit. Oh, he without sin cast the first stone. Because if that person deserved it, then so do you. You see that? Go ahead.
Verse 21. But he that doeth trust,
He that doeth truth.
he that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in the Most High. That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
He made manifest that they are wrought in God. Any questions on that? Let's see what we got online. Let's see here. If y'all got questions, y'all can send them through. Anything? It says, is there any difference between a cross with a body on? Oh, okay. Is there any difference between a cross with a body on one that, or one that's just a cross, and are they okay to wear? Maybe I'm not reading that right. Hold on, let me see. It says, is there any difference between a cross with a body on or one that's just a cross? Oh, okay. So is there any difference between a cross? You know how they have the crosses with the with like Christ on it, and then they have the cross, just the cross. I mean, they both symbolize the same thing. You know, we always say, think about it. If somebody killed your family member with a Uzi, would you walk around with a Uzi on your chest? Probably not. So, no, they're not okay to wear because they're symbolizing that death. You know, the Christians like to say, what do they like to say? Oh, it's for me to remember. It's for me to remember Christ, right? Or it's for me to remember his sacrifice. Well, where's your fringes at? Right? How come you ain't keeping the law? How come you're not celebrating the Passover and the different holidays? So no, you don't want to wear that. If somebody killed my family member with a machete, I'm not going to wear a machete around my neck. To remember that? No, you don't want to wear that. So yeah, no, you don't want to wear that. Let's go back to something real quick. Where are we at? Let's go back to Hebrews. Just want to make sure this is clear. Definitely want to be clear when thou speakest. I may have misspoke. I just want to make sure it's clear.
Hebrews chapter 9.
We're at Hebrews 9 and verse. You can start at verse, Hebrews 9 and 16.
Hebrews chapter 9 and verse 16. For where a testament is, there must also of necessity be the death of the testator. Testator.
Go ahead.
For a testament is of force after men are dead.
Right. So it's saying that there's no force behind. It's no force behind the message unless a person is willing to die for it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Otherwise, it is of no strength. At all the while the testator liveth. Verse 18.
And go. And basically, when they're willing to die, now that's what brings that force, that urgency. You see that? It's like people that want to die for their cause. I'm gonna die for this cause, and then you see, oh, they die for this cause. There has to be something behind it. There's now strength behind what they're willing to die for. Imagine if you're willing to die for something, or put your life on the line for something. What does that show others? That there's a force, or there's an urgency, or a strength behind what you're willing to die for. I'm gonna die for the truth, right? If I say I'm willing to die for this truth, what does that do to the next man? He's like, damn, you willing to die for this? Let me see what you want to die for. But I can sit here and just talk and go through it. But now the force comes where I'm willing to die, and Christ, he died for it. That's where the strength came in. You understand that? All right. Anything online?
There was one.
Further up?
What should you do if you're scheduled at work on Sabbath day?
If you're scheduled at work on the Sabbath day, what should you do? Go to work. Go to work, or try to get your schedule changed. You know, we talk about this one a lot. If you have the means to be off on the Sabbath, then get it off. But if not, show up to work. Let's go to it real quick. You got to provide for your family. Yeah, get that for me. And we've been through this question a few times. We answered this like last week, or no? I think we answered not last Sabbath, but the Sabbath before we answered this. You got it? Book of notes. I got them all in one place. But yeah, the scriptures tell us that it's good to do good on the Sabbath. So if you're scheduled to work and you have to provide for your family, go to work. You're scheduled. But if you can get off, then get off. Where we at?
Mark chapter 3 and verse 1. And he
Wait, don't go so fast. Mark where?
Chapter 3 and verse 1.
Yeah, Mark chapter 3 and verse 1.
Give me a comment when you got it.
Go ahead, read.
Mark chapter 3 and verse 1. And he entered again into the synagogue, and there was a man there which had a withered hand. And they watched him, whether he would heal him on the Sabbath day.
On what day?
On the Sabbath day.
Now, you got to think about it. Christ was doing a lot of these things on the Sabbath, like healing, plucking ears of corn. He was doing it on purpose to show the Pharisees and the Sadducees that they didn't understand the Sabbath. Go ahead.
On the Sabbath day, that they might accuse him.
That they might do what?
Accuse him.
Yeah, they might accuse him of breaking the Sabbath. Go ahead.
And he said unto the man which had the withered hand, stand forth. And he said unto them, is it lawful to do good on the Sabbath day, or to do evil? To save life, or to kill.
So he said, and read verse 4 again.
And he said unto them, is it lawful to do good on the Sabbath day?
Yeah, he asked a question. He said, is it lawful to do good on the Sabbath day? Read.
Or to do evil?
Go ahead.
To save life, or to kill. But they held their peace.
Right, they had nothing to say. Of course it's lawful to do good on the Sabbath. Of course, this is the thing. If your job is set up where you have to work on the Sabbath day, go to work. But if you're fortunate enough to be able to get out of work on the Sabbath, then get out, and you know you can, then you should get out of work. But if you have to go to work, provide for your family, we're not supposed to be slaves to the Sabbath. The Sabbath was made, we know, for rest, day of rest, right? But not everybody has that luxury in captivity. We all can't just run to the slave master and say, listen, I want this off. We're in slavery. The reason why people were getting, when you read in like Exodus, we read it last week, where they found a man gathering sticks on the Sabbath day and they stoned him. He had the whole other 6 days to go gather sticks. He had the whole other 6 days. Why did he choose the day of rest to go do that? Now, are you choosing the day of rest to go work? No, you said that you're on a schedule. So if that's how they got your schedule set up, you got to work. You know, I'm not going to tell you, we're not going to tell you to go quit your job or anything like that, because you got to provide for your family. We understand that. Go to, you found it? Go there real quick. See, this was the thing with the Sadducees and the Pharisees. They were always trying to challenge Yahushua and trying to get him caught up, like on things like the Sabbath days, where what you can't do and what you're supposed to do and not do, where they weren't even keeping the Sabbath days correctly. Where are we at?
Luke chapter 14 and verse 3.
Go ahead.
And Yahushua answering spake unto the lawyers and Pharisees.
They were the what?
Lawyers and Pharisees.
Yeah, see, they knew the law in and out. Where you at? 14 and verse 3?
Come.
Go ahead.
Saying, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath day?
There it goes again. Actually,
It hits it on 5.
yeah. No, go ahead, read.
Verse 4. And they held their peace, and he took him and healed him.
Right, because when you read up, there was a man that had the dropsy, right? There was a certain man, verse 2, and behold, there was a certain man before him which had the dropsy. So he had a sickness. So he said he took him and he healed him. Go ahead.
And let him go.
Read.
And answered them, saying, which of you shall have an ass, shall have an ass or an ox fallen into a pit, and will not straightway pull him out on the Sabbath day?
Right, because what did the ox and the ass represent?
Dumb animal.
No, but they were dumb animals, but what do they represent for man? That was your currency. That was what did the ox do? It worked, right? So he's asking, which one of you is going to have your life? It's basically representing your livelihood. Which one of you is going to have your livelihood of this ox that brings forth your wealth, right? Fall into a ditch and you're just going to leave it on the Sabbath. Nobody. That's like saying my mama fell and broke her ankle on the Sabbath. I can't pick her up. See, that's the thought, though. But that's why he had to check them like this and say, well, wait a minute. Which one of you having an ass or an ox fall into a ditch on the Sabbath is just going to leave it alone and let it sit there? Nobody's going to do that. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And they could not answer him again.
Yeah, they had no answer for it because it's like, got us. So the point is, it's lawful to do good on the Sabbath. It's lawful to work good works on the Sabbath. If you have to go to work, I'm going to keep saying it. If you're going to work to provide for your family, because that's what working does, then it's lawful to do good on the Sabbath. Now, if you don't have to work, if you like, oh, I'm gonna put in that extra OT, and I know I don't have to go, but I'm gonna go, you might want to sacrifice that OT money and follow that rest. You see that? But if you're on the schedule to work, and it's part of your little, 40 hours or however you got going on, and that's gonna affect, you gotta pay rent, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta do it. I mean, think about it. We street teach on the Sabbath. Is that not work? Are we breaking the law? No, it's good to do good on the Sabbath. But people, brothers and sisters, try to get super technical. Israelite, like, you got brothers that thought I couldn't throw away things on the Sabbath. I couldn't throw things in the trash, but I threw it on the floor. But it's still a throwing. It's still the same thing. You couldn't walk to the trash, but you walk to the restroom. That takes work for some. But you see the logic behind the mind, where it's like, if you get caught up into these, or if you let yourself get caught up into these, what the Pharisees were trying to bring out as technicalities or loopholes, you look at things the wrong way. So yes, it's good to do good on the Sabbath. It's good to keep, if your place is clean, you don't dirty it up on the Sabbath just to serve the Sabbath. You keep your place clean on the Sabbath. It's just like these I don't even know if the word is technicalities, but
and it also represents like an unbalance.
Mm-hmm.
So
what do you mean?
In that, like they're not having a balance in all the laws. Like you can't just want to do the Sabbath but not keep everything else. And then even in your unbalance, the Most High says an unbalance is an abomination to him. Right?
Right.
So there's no balance in your thinking and your logic from one thing against the other, but you don't see the unbalance being like an abomination to the Most High either. Like,
right, because everything we judge on, even the Sabbath, it has to be done through wisdom.
Yeah.
And it has to be done through balance.
everything.
Yeah, it has to be. Like, again, you got people that have to work on the Sabbath, like their job, right? Their job where they go make their money to pay their rent, pay their bills, and get food. Some people have to do it, but then you have some people that they don't have to be there on the Sabbath, and they know about the Sabbath, but they go anyway. That's the difference, where if I understand what the Sabbath is about, and I know I don't need that money on the Sabbath for that to go work that day, I'm not gonna go work. I'm gonna go be with my brothers and sisters. But you have some that are like, I know the Sabbath says that we're supposed to congregate and do this and do that, but I'm gonna go work. I'm not gonna endeavor to keep the unity. You see that? So there's a difference where it's the mind state and the intentions. It's good to do good. It's good to pay your rent. It's good not to get kicked out your house. It's good to have food to feed your family. Shirai, you had your hand up?
I was going to kind of testify for the sister.
Yeah.
Whoever's asking the question, when I came in, I was doing the retail jobs. I was working, the weekends, the overnights, but my mind was like, I'm going to still keep, a spiritual mind, if I'm at work on the Sabbath, make sure I was studying. And the Most High made a way where he provided a job where I didn't have to work on the weekends, where I didn't have to work overnight or miss class. So
yeah.
I mean, even if I work, I make sure, okay, today I'm gonna think about the Most High, make sure I'm studying. I did what I could. If if it was a weekday and I got off at 9:30 and class was at 10, I still made sure I went to class. And the Most High provided, and he made a way to where I didn't have to work those kind of schedules anymore.
Right, because even when you do have to work and you know what the Sabbath is about, where's your mind?
Right.
See, where's your spirit? Because that's what the Most High wanted. He wanted us to gear our spirit towards him on that day. There's plenty of Israelites, brothers and sisters that know they're Israelites, and they have the misfortune of having to show up to Esau's job. Where's their mind at? Listen, we got a business in the mall. I wish we could do like Chick-fil-A and shut down, right, on our Sabbath. I wish. But, and you have those Israelites that try to come up like, yo, working on the Sabbath. But I'm like, guess what? Well, you're here on the Sabbath. What you doing in the mall? It's where you shop at, right? What you doing? You walking around? You working. If you want to get stupid and technical, yeah, if you want to get technical and stupid, I can get stupid too. Wait, I'm in the mall doing good on the Sabbath because what I do provides for the school.
But you're out.
You're out just having free time.
Free time, not even congregating like you're supposed to on the Sabbath.
Right.
Not coming together, reading the law in the scriptures like you're supposed to on the Sabbath.
You see, and that's the difference where I know what my works are geared towards, and my mind has to be geared toward those works for them to prosper on the Sabbath and every day. See that, and that's another thing where do I just only need the Sabbath to gear my mind? No. No, my mind is always geared towards the Most High and what I'm doing in the name of the Most High. Now the Sabbath is more like, okay, try to cut away all the extra. You know, if it's about TV, cut that away for the day. Radio and all the outside influences. If you can do that, cut those things away. But my mind is always geared, and brothers and sisters in here, our mind is always geared towards the will of the Most High and knowing that if our mind is set on the goal, whatever works we put forward, they're going to be good works. So, yeah, if you have to work on the Sabbath, if you're scheduled, work your shift, but keep your mind on the Most High. And like the sister said, what she did that very thing. And the Most High knows that if you're sincere, He'll make that change. He'll change that for you. I know the thoughts that I have towards you, thoughts of peace and not of evil, for you to have an expected end.
You have another question? Do you take notes on Sabbath readings? And if so, how would you structure it for studying?
Yeah, you definitely want to take notes. You definitely want to be taking notes on the Sabbath. Like, this is a lot of info. There's a lot of info that we go through. I mean, check this out. We read 19, 20, 21. We read 4 chapters in Numbers. That's a lot. We read almost the whole chapter of We read the whole chapter of Judges. We read the whole chapter of Hebrew. I mean, there's a lot of information. So, you know, as we're talking, what's going on is a lot of precepts pop up to go along with what we're talking about. So that's what you want to make sure you're putting your precepts with the scriptures. So that's one way to do it. And then through all the things that we talk about, there's one main topic, then there's subtopics within that topic. So you can do your main topic, you know, Sabbath reading, and what that main reading is about. And then you can do subtopics, like with Moses, when we talked about him, instead of hitting the rock, instead of him speaking to the rock, he hit the rock, right? So now what was that dealing with? Faith, obedience, right? So you can build a topic on that. Oh, faith. Oh, it said through disbelief, Aaron and Moses hit the rock, right? So now that's dealing with faith. So now you can say, oh, that's a scripture that goes with faith. And you can build from that. So yeah, you can subtopic your notes if you want and study that way. And then you can put your other scriptures that go with that with these subtopics. That's how you get into like building classes and things like that. Main topic, subtopics within the class, and you just put your scriptures in there. I mean, again, with the readings, it's a lot of info. So you could go back and reread, and you might catch something that we didn't pick up. Oh, damn, that's talking about this. Oh yeah, let me grab that scripture that goes here. It's just like when we were talking about the serpent. I didn't even realize we were going to go to Hebrews. John, I mean. But when it was talking about the fiery serpents in the wilderness, John chapter 3 goes right with that. I kind of jumped ahead, but that's a precept for that scripture in Numbers. So you want to go, I do it right in my Bible. John chapter 3 and verse 10, right next to the Numbers scripture. And I go into the Hebrew scripture, or the John scripture, and write Numbers, whatever the scripture is for Numbers, so it's there. So now when I'm reading John 3 and 10 down, I'm like, oh, wow, okay, Numbers goes with this. And I go to Numbers and I read that. Oh, wow, yeah, boom. And something else is going to go with that. That's how you precept your Bible. Good way to study also. You write everything down. Very important to write everything down. Anything else online? You said what? Any other questions in here?
Nah.
See something. Another little second. Let's give another little second. Anybody has anything last minute? Yeah, the Sabbath readers be having a lot. A lot of info. Yeah, just wait real quick to get a word. Wait real quick to get a word. From the brethren. Does he want us to set up Yep, I believe we're going out street speaking today. So get ready for that. Right?
Go on.
You were bringing them out? Was that today?
The boys, yes.
Nice.
Not the whole time, but just to
Yeah.
help you guys.
Yeah. Let them get a little piece of the action.
Yes.
Let them see what we do. They're like, man, I wonder what these guys are gonna do after we leave class. Now you get to see it. It's just gonna be them two?
No, it's gonna be the 4 boys. Yes, 4 boys.
That's small world.
Small world.
Give me a thumbs up, yeah or no? Pretty well. Okay. All right, well, we do thank y'all for joining us. Since there's no other questions, we're going to shut it down. We thank everybody for joining us online. We thank you for all the support, anything that you've given. We appreciate it. All the donations, the books, all the monetary help. We definitely appreciate it if you want to continue to do so. Got the Wells Fargo account. We got the Google Wallet. We appreciate it. And we're going to say shalom.
Shalom.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because he was like, see, I didn't understand. He said, that's not what it said. That's not what that means. Then he said, come. It means that the message is really come. Force that person to come. That's what it said. Somebody has not. Right? Did I not say that? Probably fierce.
Whoa. Nah, that's the smell. That's more than.
I can smell that too.
See how it smells?
No, well, we've been sitting in here, so.
No, I smoked it when that's why.
Oh, there was a smell. Yeah, I don't know what that was.
Like a rotten egg or something.
Yeah.
So, that would work.